What's going on? Good morning, Nashville, from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Pleasantly surprised about how good Monday Night Football was. No Burrow, no problem, as Jake Browning leads the Bengals to a win in overtime over the Jaguars, 34-31. Browning finished with 354 passing yards, one touchdown through the air, another one on the ground. Trevor Lawrence, though, was injured late in the fourth quarter and did not return. After the game, Doug Peterson said the medical officials labeled it as an ankle sprain, and they would get more information today when Lawrence gets an MRI. Titans have made their first in-season change in the coaching under Mike Vrabel, relieving special teams coordinator Craig Ackerman from his position. Tom Quinn will take over as special teams coach. But a piece of good news yesterday for Titans fans, as Mike Vrabel also updated Derrick Henry's health after leaving the game early Sunday. Henry is not in concussion protocol and should be good to go on Monday in Miami. Now down to the 16th annual Toy Field for Toy Drive, sponsored by A.O. Smith and Cool Ray at Nissan Stadium. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Happy Tuesday morning from Nissan Stadium. It is RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast, as we talk to you on a frigid morning in the middle of the Music City. It is the 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive out at Nissan Stadium, building a field of toys for the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels, and it is one of our favorite days of the year, with a full crew ready to go. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Robert Walsh, our producer, Kirby Allen Kirby, making it happen here for us at Nissan Stadium, our entire Cumulus Nashville crew. Good morning, everyone. How are we?
We're good. I think so. Anyway, Will, I'm toasty this morning. I'm going to be real with you. So far, I don't want to brag too much because it can hit you when you're outside if you're just hanging around for a little bit. But as it stands right now, layered up.
Yep, you got your park on, I got my park on, and all because we're out here for the toy field. Obviously, very cool right now. We're looking at a field with a few toys, but what's so cool is by the end of the day, we get to see the entire field filled up, and that's thanks to you guys. So, yeah, come on by, say hi to us. We're not usually out and about this time of the year in terms of just in the morning. So come say hi and drop by a toy.
So, I don't know how you are starting the show saying you are warm and bundled. I don't know. How is that going to continue?
You don't know what's going on over here, okay? I got my gloves I've yet to put on, and I'm still saying I'm warm. I've got, this jacket I wanted for a while. I got it when I was in Pittsburgh. It is, it's thick. It's warm. Yeah, 2 Qs,
Silent
okay?
K.
I put on a regular long sleeve T-shirt, okay? And I put on a sweatshirt. And I got on some thick socks. And you know what? I used to dog dudes out and was like, man, you got Ugg boots on? Like, Uggs are for the ladies. Nah. I got on some leather Ugg boots today, okay?
Fancy.
Yeah, got my little sheep wool in there. I guess that's what's going on with some thick socks. Your boy got it together today, okay?
Much more prepared than I was.
Yeah, I promise you. You going to be all right, okay? Utah.
No, it's just a bad omen to this early in the morning say that you are so warm and cozy.
So
and
nice.
You're going to sit out here for 20 minutes and you'll be like, all right, Will, it's a little cold out. It's a little cold.
You know what, Kayla, I can't let them know now.
I know.
Well, you're cold in the studio, so I guess this is an upgrade.
Well, I can prepare for outside. Like, preparing for the studio is bothersome to me because I shouldn't have to wear gloves in the studio. I shouldn't have to tell Will, I'm cold. I shouldn't have to look over at you and blow in my hands. It's just like, you cold as I am?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? For this, since we're building the field of toys at Nissan Stadium and we're outside, like I'm thinking to myself, like I need to come prepared for it. The studio I'm not prepared for because that somebody's even put up a note in the studio about not touching the thermostat. Not that I would, okay?
We don't do that.
Because I want to, all right?
Right.
I can move it up a couple of ticks, but then Will will be in there with a shirt off in the wintertime because he loves it freezing.
And shorts.
That's right.
And shorts.
Absolutely.
On top of that. So I came ready today, man. Yeah, I'm feeling real toasty right now. I'm going to be real with y'all. And I'm bragging a little bit too much.
That's
Well,
all right.
we are all having better mornings than Jacksonville Jaguars fans, that's for sure. With a chance to become the 1 seed in the AFC last night, not only do they lose, Trevor Lawrence goes down with an injury. Jake Browning with the performance for the ages on Monday Night Football. That is not a sentence I expected to say to begin our Toy Field show this morning.
Me either. Never even heard of that.
Former Washington quarterback. A lot of those QBs, Jake Locker, don't really.
That's a sore subject here. Let's be
work out
careful.
well. I
Be
know.
careful.
But they bring
We
it
can
up
make
in the
fun
chat.
of the other ones,
so-
but not the ones here. That was a decade ago.
They bring it up in the chat, so I'll bring it up too. No, that was kind of shocking to see. I didn't think, with Jacksonville Jaguars kind of trending the way they are, I didn't think that they would blow it on Monday Night Football. I mean, look, they had the crowd for the first time in a long time there on a Monday night. They didn't have to tarp part of the stadium.
That's what Peyton Manning was saying yesterday.
Right?
Impressive.
Impressive, but didn't get the win.
Yeah. Really good game, though.
Yeah.
I went to sleep on it like midway through the fourth because I was just really just like, all right, how much do I really like them? And the answer was not a lot. So I was really just questioning why I was staying up because when you do what we do, man, you got to get ready. You got to catch those Z's, man. But good for Jake Browning. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
It was a really good back and forth, though. It was actually, if we want to say this in these terms while they're still asleep, because I guarantee there's not many Jaguars and Cincinnati fans up, but I thought it was good on good for a game last night in national time, in that national time slot.
Well, of course, the big news yesterday, Mike Vrabel making a very rare mid-season staff change as Craig Ackerman fired mid-year. Not something I expected to be talking about today either, to be honest with you.
No, did not. I saw a lot of people on social media backing up their words the same way I'm going to have to back mine up, too. There is no way I saw an in-season firing happening. But we talked about this yesterday a little bit when we spoke about what had happened. Like 2 blocked punts in a game. And when you look at the significance of the player that got injured too, I'm not saying that, some players are more important than others, but we had a quick conversation. Like Stonehouse has done some team MVP level stuff. Like he has flipped the field for this defense. He's been clutch. You ask him to get better his directional balls and hang time and stuff like that. He's done everything you ask him for a team that's under 500 right now. Ryan Stonehouse was a real bright spot. And because of now we can say it, right? Coaching malpractice, Coach Ackerman.
We said it yesterday. I said it. I'm
You're
not
out.
afraid to say it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was. And Ramon, you're right. You've heard Mike Vrabel say multiple times, like, we have to protect the punter because he knew he was probably the most valuable player on that team, most consistent player on that team, if anything. And he flips the field. It is a big part of the game in terms of when you can not make many mistakes on this Tennessee Titans team, but that you have as a weapon, you can win games that way.
Yeah.
You can win those tight games that way. So I think he knew, and I was surprised, guys, that he didn't do it when the season was over or maybe just one more bad game. I was a little surprised. But the fact that they fired him yesterday, like just a couple hours after the show, I was a little surprised, but it needed to be done. And now hopefully you can move forward, right? And not use that as a crutch as why your special teams isn't performing or, allowing that type of thing where a player gets hurt.
Yeah, Tom Quinn, special teams assistant with the Titans, will take over for Craig Ackerman as special teams coach. And Quinn, longtime special teams coach with the New York Giants, was a part of 2 Super Bowl winning teams in New York. He was there from 2006 to 2021 and got a long resume. Hope it works out, obviously. And we'll see, obviously, who the Titans hire full-time at the end of the season. But I do think it is a big surprise to see Mike Vrabel admit guilt on his coaching staff mid-season. But in a season where things are happening that have never happened under Mike Vrabel, at least he is taking the time to realize that requires decisions that have never been made under his leadership before.
And Vrabel's defense, I'm glad we're getting to a point to where, and I hate that somebody lost their job. It'll always be a situation where it's like, man, that's pretty tough. That sucks, right? But for the crying crowd out loud, Vrabel need to fire his boys, and Vrabel need to do this, and Vrabel need to say this guy sucks, and like, you got your wish. And then moving forward, you got to say, okay, now what? Like, because right now it's clear coaches are being evaluated. Players are too. When you're at this point in the season, what do we have? 5 games left, ladies and gents. About 5 games.
Yeah.
Like,
Crazy.
If something doesn't change, and I think the coach game. That's the reality of what happened on Sunday. People got to start looking over their shoulders just a little bit. I understand they're kind of playing for their careers, here in Nashville. And the way coaches coach up their players and the preparation for the game, like if the coaches know that the prep is there but the players aren't, okay, all right, I can live with that as a coach, as a head coach, as far as Vrabel concerned. But as it pertains to the players, like getting their job done, like a lot of that's on the line. And considering what may happen with Derek and Big Jeff this weekend, Big Jeff's already out.
Yeah.
Like some guys have to step up in a major way. Like the microscope is officially out in my book. I know Vrabel's coaching to the end, but as far as my book and what guys are capable of doing moving forward, the microscope is out is when I start firing coaches and stuff.
And that's why I think it happened when it did. I think Mike Vrabel knows things have to start changing. And guess what? The leash will get thinner and thinner because nobody's guaranteed anything in terms of coaching, especially these days. And I know Amy Adams-Strunk has probably said, hey, this is a new year. We're doing things a little different. So this is kind of a sign that Mike Vrabel knows, where things are at, too.
Toy Field is presented by A.O. Smith today at Nissan Stadium as we build a field of toys to benefit Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program. We are asking for your help throughout the day. While you're out doing your holiday shopping, pick up an extra toy or a gift for a senior. Bring it here to Toy Field. We will be here at Nissan Stadium from now until 6 p.m. today. We are inside Gate 1 on the east side concourse next to the Titans Pro Shop. The curbside drop-off at Nissan Stadium will also be available along South 2nd Street in front of Gate 1. You can drive by, drop off your unwrapped toy or gift for a senior to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program. Help us create miracle moments for families in our community. We appreciate all of our sponsors helping make this day possible. A.O. Smith and Cool Ray are presenting and participating sponsors. Pig and Pie serving us breakfast. Hattie B's lunch will be here. O'Charlie's dinner. And additional thanks to Enbright Credit Union bringing you the 8 a.m. hour this morning from Toy Field. It's going to be cool to watch this field right in front of us completely fill up. And then by the end of the day, when 3HL is done, we're going to have cement covered. We're going to have this whole entrance to Nissan Stadium covered up. It is going to be great to see.
It will be great to see, and it's for a great cause, too. I've seen where we start at in the mornings, and I've seen what it looked like at about 6 o'clock. It was a grand old time, man. Some people bring truckloads. We're not asking for truckloads from every single person. If you can, do that. But if not, 1 or 2 toys for a boy and a girl, or however you want to drop this thing off. I'm talking about basketballs, soccer balls, little tricycles if you want 2 puzzles.
Yep.
You got to think about it. These are kids. This ain't you that want a new Mercedes-Benz, okay, all right, or a new truck from Two Rivers Ford. We're talking about toys here. You can bring a toy truck, okay, that's a Ford from Two Rivers Ford.
For sure.
But, we're asking for toys here today.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I went and got my toy yesterday. It was kind of fun for a minute just looking at what's hip now for kids, But then I always go old school. Those little, like, grocery things where you get to, like, beep up the groceries and put them in a cart. So I got one of those. Hopefully a kid will enjoy that. But, yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. Come drop by a couple Tonka toys, Everything counts. So it's such a cool day.
Coming up this morning, top 7 and bottom 3, the best and worst in the NFL, plus the injury news yesterday for your Tennessee Titans that we'll dive into here in just about 10 minutes. Also this morning, we're going to dive into a big discussion on the college football playoff. You're Not That Guy will move to tomorrow morning here on the show, and we are back in studio. Go inside the College Football Playoff Committee's decision as written by Heather Dinich of ESPN.com. As she goes behind the scenes on the thought process and the decision behind putting Alabama in over Florida State. We'll dive into that coming up in hour number 2. Austin Price of AllQuest sorts us through a busy opening day of transfer portal news yesterday in Knoxville and a Tennessee target who is set to announce his commitment later this week. A big-time target, perhaps the biggest left on the board. We'll get into that with Austin at 8:20 this morning. And, of course, Ron Slay every Tuesday morning here on the show. Tennessee back on the hardwood tonight against George Mason. We'll get into Vols and Iowa Hawkeyes as well in the Cheez-Its Citrus Bowl, because we woke up feeling the cheesiest, Coach. We'll get into that with Ron Slay coming up in hour number 4 at 9:20. 615-737-1045, the best and worst in the NFL. Our weekly top 7, bottom 3 is next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Are you looking to keep your home in great shape year-round? Well, sign up for a Lee Company home maintenance plan for just $12 a month. You hear us say all the time that the only thing predictable about the weather in Middle Tennessee is that it's unpredictable. So what are you going to get? Plan members receive 4 service visits a year from the Lee Company team of experts. That's a heating system tune-up, an air conditioning tune-up, an electrical inspection, and a detailed plumbing inspection as well. 4 annual visits, $12 a month. And for the very best in-home service, call Lee Company at 615-567-1000 today, or visit them online at leecompany.com. Just search home maintenance plan to join their membership there. Again, leecompany.com. Search for the home maintenance plan, or give them a call for the very best in-home service at 615-567-1000. That's Lee Company. All you need. Broadcasting live from Nissan Stadium, the 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive, courtesy of all your friends here at Cumulus Nashville on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is the number. Our Toy Field presented by A.O. Smith today at Nissan Stadium as we build a field of toys to benefit Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program, needing your help all day, bringing unwrapped toys and gifts for seniors as well. Also need your help in picking the top 7, bottom 3, because I feel like we could have a lot of variety this week.
Yeah. This week might be the week it gets a little sticky because some teams are losing with, like, similar records, but they're better teams. Like, I was close to putting Denver in just on the basis of what they've done as of late.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
and they lost this last weekend, and they
Yeah.
were on a roll, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got like teams like Jacksonville where I didn't know where to put them because I feel like they're still the 8-3 record, but then they lose last night to Cincinnati at home. Like this is a crazy one this week.
Yeah.
It's interesting, too, just seeing how far power rankings around the league have dropped the Eagles. Because looking at The Athletic this morning, like they have the Eagles at 5. And I don't understand how you can. I was tempted to still keep the Eagles at 1.
Man,
I didn't, but I was tempted to.
Still got them up there in my top 7, man. But it's always funny. The top 7 is always the hardest to do because it's like, well, I need 3 more slots just to justify why a team isn't in.
Right.
Because it's easy to put in. I mean, truthfully, I know they're not a good team, but Atlanta's leading the NFC South. Like, I don't
Someone
think
has
there's
to.
anybody close to the top. But, like, they're almost justifiably should be put in the top 10. You know what I'm saying?
No.
But you can't in this situation. Well, I love how you lean into bad teams, though, too. It'd be so unique. I'd be like, man, it's good that, they're leading the NFC South. Well, no.
No, they're terrible. They're bad at football.
The Titans would love to be in that division, even more so than the AFC South.
Can you imagine? Like, they legitimately might. Hasn't this happened to the NFC South before? I know it has. They've had a below 500
last year.
team make the
Yep.
playoffs. And it was years before it did the exact same thing, and the NFC East. It's weird.
615-737-1045. I get your phone calls this morning as we go as well. And before we get to top 7, bottom 3, let's start with the bad injury news for the Titans here as well. Ryan Stonehouse, knee injury, out for the rest of the season. I think we unfortunately expected that considering the way things looked on Sunday. Jeffrey Simmons expected to miss a couple of weeks. According to head coach Mike Vrabel, was unavailable obviously late in the game and will be unavailable Monday night against Miami. The best news is that Derrick Henry is not currently in concussion protocol. Interesting the way this worked out on Sunday.
How? How is he not in
He
it?
tried to explain, but I didn't get it.
I understand. Maybe he's closer to being out or closer to normal than we thought, and that's what it essentially is. Like, if he takes an impact test and his baseline, his new numbers are as close to normal, and you can't put him in a concussion protocol. I thought it was a bad hit, but of course we've all learned over the years Derek is an avatar. It is what it is in those moments right there.
He's like AI or something. Because I was even thinking, man, he could be ready because it's a Monday game instead of a Sunday game. But I didn't expect Coach Vrabel to say yesterday that he wasn't even in concussion protocol.
Yeah, good for
that was
Derek.
shocking. But you know what? Good for Derek. Good for Monday Night Football,
Yeah.
having Derrick Henry hopefully there. And good for the Titans.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel's saying he's not in protocol as of now, but we will monitor how he's feeling and any symptoms that come up just like we would any other player. So, again, as of now, he's doing great, and that's great news for any player.
It is.
Here I was thinking we were going to get another situation like the Cowboys game last year where you're going to see, all right, what does this team have on offense when it doesn't have Derrick Henry at all on Monday night in Miami? And it looks like it'll be business as usual.
It will be business as usual. And Derek is a threat that you want showing up in primetime football. So if all healthy, definitely roll with Derek. It's 2 things real quick for me. One, I was absolutely hoping that Ryan Stonehouse injury was an hyperextended knee.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm like you guys or not, but I couldn't go back and just watch that replay over and over to see extent in which it went backwards. I saw it in a still shot. That's all I needed. And also, if Big Jeff's due, we know 2 weeks. The question I had, I'll answer it myself without even asking you guys. as a coach, I would probably consider where I am as a team before I threw Big Jeff out there if he wasn't 100%.
You're right on that. 100%.
That's just me.
No, yeah, I think he has to be healthy, ready to go. Jeff always wants to play. That's just his mentality. But let's make sure he is 100% when you put him back out there. You're right, Ramon, because he's your best player. He's your biggest player moving forward. You got to keep him healthy. And right now, they're not really in the mix. So,
and I hate to say roll everybody else out and prove why you need to play with Big Jeff, but Jeff's earned that. He has. He really has to me.
Is there any reason for Jeffrey Simmons to play the rest of the year?
Well, unless something crazy happen over the next couple of weeks, you lose another AFC game on Monday night. And who's after this? Texans?
Yep.
You still got 2 with the Texans.
2 with the Texans.
Still got Jacksonville at home. And obviously you have Miami on Monday. That's 4 of your 5 last games. I mean, I don't know if there's a reason for Jeffrey Simmons to get back out there this year.
This is me as a fan, not as a player, not as a coach. Me as a fan says this, Will. If I know I'm not making it playoffs this year, I need to see the best out of everybody else and not Big Jeff.
Right.
And that ain't copping out. That's just the reality of the situation. Like, who is actually going to step up for this team? We've asked a lot of questions. I know this is probably a later date conversation that we need to be having right now because we got top 7 coming up. But where's Harold consistently? Arden, where are you? Rashad, where are you? Tierra, how much can you step up? Like, these are questions that have to be asked. Pico, where are you at? Like, there's a lot of that stuff that has to happen. And we all acknowledged yesterday, and I felt like we said it throughout the summer, this is a rebuild. I need my healthiest portion of my team or the best portion of my team to go into this offseason knowing what their roles are next year. And Big Jeff is one of those mainstays. Package him up if you can. That's where I'm at, especially if he's missing 2 and there's 3 games left. Unless he's got a crazy incentive to get, I could care less at this point.
615-737-1045. Let's do a top 7 and bottom 3 in the NFL this week. And start at the bottom. Of course, we do top 7 and bottom 3 for our 11-year NFL veteran on the show who was number 73 for 11 years for some team up in the AFC North. Number 30, Ramon Foster.
Titans.
Really?
Put them in this
Okay.
week. Yeah.
All right.
The losses piling on, the losing streak, and the first loss at home, man. It was a good game, but bottom 3 is where I'm at right now, Will.
Okay.
I'm going to go with this weekend. I was going to keep the Titans in there, but I liked the effort all the way to the end of that game. Unfortunately, the mishaps in terms of, some of those mistakes, but more so losing some main guys. I'm going to keep them out of it this week. And I'm going to put the Washington Commanders in. I cannot understand what they're doing over there. There is no progression at all. I don't feel like there's much fight with this team. I understand they played the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins might put up that many points on the Titans. I hope that is not the case. But like Terry McLaurin had 0 targets, 0 catches. He put out like some X tweet, whatever, saying, I was out there just what he said. Getting cardio. Yeah.
So all cardio team this week.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know what it is over there. They have a new owner. Like, things are different, supposed to be, and it's not going in the right direction. So
I think at this point, there are 2 teams just in the city of New York that are worse than the Titans. So I'm going to pick the one that has a quarterback that doesn't even want to play and go with the New York Jets.
I can't believe you said it.
I know.
I get it.
The Jets have scored 4 offensive touchdowns in their last 88 drives. That's worse than the Titans.
Yeah.
Is that bitter by Zach?
What do you mean?
Is he bitter for saying he don't want to go in?
I mean, I think if you are a quarterback telling me you are reluctant to go in, you are on the street bagging groceries the next day, like doing something else, whatever else it is, like that you could be doing to make ends meet. It's like Zach Wilson should not be a New York Jet. The second you tell me as a head coach that you are reluctant, obviously nothing wrong with bagging groceries, but I mean, I think Zach Wilson probably is a better fit for that than he is being an NFL quarterback.
No doubt. Okay.
31.
New England Patriots, man. Just a bad overall team. I'm not even sure if they can coach themselves out of this situation whatsoever. If Bill Belichick's the greatest football coach, then this is the worst coaching job he's ever had this year then.
Yeah, and it's gotten worse since Tom Brady's left. So I don't know what, in the end, he's got rings, absolutely. But what is he doing right now since Tom Brady's left? Doesn't look like a lot. I mean, they're on their backup quarterback. They don't seem to know how to win games, obviously, with their record. It's getting almost worse than the Carolina Panthers at this point. Patriots with Bill Belichick, I don't see this moving forward with him as the head coach. I have them at 31-2.
I thought you knew. Vrabel's their head coach.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. That was that journalist, that really good journalist. Had that great article.
Depends on if Rand Carthon has the courage.
Yeah.
Right?
New England 31 for me as well. 32.
32 Panthers. It's not even close.
Not even close at all. Yeah. All right, let's go to the top, number 7. I'll be honest. I had Jacksonville here until I woke up and they lost because I did not wake. I was not awake to see the end of that football game. So a little bit of an adjustment for me when I make my pick.
I still have them at 7, y'all. Close game. AFC loss, of course. But they were last week. I think they were 5 on my list last week. They moved down simply because of the loss this week. I won't do it like the college football playoffs.
By the way, it's so funny hearing people's thoughts on that. Yesterday it was just endless. So I also have Jacksonville because guess what, guys? It's kind of by default. And I expected them to win that game, and maybe that was stupid of me, but I felt like they had been moving in the right direction. They're still leading the AFC South. But I look at all the other teams, and I look at the standings, and I look at records right now. I don't have anybody else to justify right now, so I'm going to put Jags right at that spot. I think Trevor, though, banged up a little, got a little bit of an ankle injury in that
it looked
one.
like a bad ankle
So
injury.
we'll see what happens moving forward.
Houston, 7 for me.
Yeah, you know what, Will? Good call.
I know head-to-head
Good call.
that one went Jacksonville's way, but give me Houston.
Yep.
Especially considering the uncertainty around Trevor Lawrence right now. Interesting that C.J. Stroud obviously never played more than 13 games in a season at Ohio State. His next one for Houston will be number 13 against those New York Jets up in New Jersey this upcoming weekend. And C.J. Stroud, a guy that took the lead in passing in the NFL over the weekend, 274 yards passing. Sam Howell for the league's passing lead.
Woo.
Man.
Did not have that on my
Look at
bingo
that,
card in
crazy.
December. Number 6.
Number 6, Kansas City. That tough loss to Green Bay, of course. Jordan Love may actually be on to something in Green Bay, and I'm going to just leave it right there. Kansas City offense is stagnant. They got to figure something out. I love their defense right now, but that offense is bothersome to me. Number 6.
Well, Patrick Mahomes' first trip to Green Bay was not a good one because he obviously could not get it done. That offense is not the same. And you can argue all you want. It's not the same as it's been in the past.
No.
And if they don't get things together, yeah, they're a playoff team, but how far they go, they're not the once feared Kansas City Chiefs. And I think teams see that. So when you have opportunity like Jordan Love did with trending upwards Green Bay very young team, you take advantage of that. Maybe you couldn't in the past against a Patrick Mahomes Kansas City team. This year, you can. But I put them in that same spot at number 6.
Same here. Number 5.
Number 5, Detroit. Detroit's about a steady top of the NFC North, man. They hadn't moved too far out of the top 7, except I think one time this year for me.
I also have the Detroit Lions. I guess we're copying off of each other's papers this morning.
doubt.
But kids don't do that. But, yeah, same thing with me. I kind of was disappointed in the lead they gave up on Sunday because it was a pretty big lead. But they're still winning games, and they're winning games tight.
I'll go Dallas at number 5. Still like this Detroit team a little bit more as it stands at the moment. I'm still waiting on Dak Prescott to once again become Dak Prescott, but at the time being, he is the favorite for MVP and for good reason, so I'll take Dallas 5.
By the way, Dallas, number 1 scoring team in the league.
Crazy.
Almost 33 points a friggin' game.
And we've been waiting for 30 points here for one game for a long time.
We got to
In
28.
this stadium we're sitting in right now.
Golly.
Crawling up there, 28 yesterday. I also have the, did you say 4 for Dallas?
I said Dallas 5.
Dallas,
Okay.
We're on 4 right now.
Yeah.
I'm split on this one because Dallas should be in it. Miami's 4 for me. They could
Interesting.
be higher.
Okay.
But Dallas is I'm cheating here, y'all. Miami's 4. I want to put Dallas 4, but my other top 3 are better than Dallas right now. Dallas second in the division, and Miami's top of the AFC East. So Miami to me is number 4 out of this group. I'd love to move them up, but where they've been sitting at, I'm cheating. I'm bad right now.
okay.
I want to put Dallas right here, but I'm going Miami.
That's all right.
I mean, Miami's not even in my top 7.
They're
so.
not in mine either.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Got to beat a winning team.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts? I know. It's like you look at it, you're like, wait, where's Miami? I've got Dallas at 4, guys. I liked how they took care of business against the Seahawks. In the past, those are games where we say, oh, yeah, Dallas turned back into into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
But they were able to handle business against the Seahawks and get a big win. And Dak has been impressive this year. Yeah, he needs to continue to do it, and they need to go into the playoffs besides just the first round. But I like what they're doing now.
Detroit 4 for me, 33-28 over the Saints. Rookie tight end Sam Laporta, 9 catches for 140. Guy that's coming on strong.
Rhett called him earlier
I was
this
going to
year.
say,
Yes, he did.
yeah.
Yes, he
Rhett
did.
is good at identifying.
Mm-hmm. Number 3.
Philly. They got smacked absolutely by San Francisco. They were 1 for a while for me. Now they move on down to 3. Philly for me at number 3.
I got the Baltimore Ravens. I think Bert's back there probably clapping a little bit. Till they prove me otherwise, I'm keeping him up there.
I will also go with the Baltimore Ravens at number 3.
Okay.
Number 2.
Baltimore.
Okay.
Baltimore defensively, offensively, a real solid team. Strong.
I got Philadelphia Eagles at 2. If that's where we're at. Sorry, I lost track. Yeah, Philadelphia Eagles, obviously a bad loss. At home, was surprised to see a little bit of domination there. Obviously, you knew it was going to be what should have been a close game and a rematch for those two teams. But, yeah, I've got the Eagles still at 2. There's still a lot of talent and a lot of time left on this team.
Yeah, I still think those are the best 2 teams of football on the field in Philly, and I have them too as well. In their 2 losses this year, to now the Jets and the Niners, a team in both the top 7 and the bottom 3 that they have lost to. The Eagles have been held to a total of 126 rushing yards and 3.2 yards per carry in their losses. If you can stop them from running, you have a good chance of beating Philadelphia. But right now, they're still Philadelphia. And now they've got a new linebacker that we'll talk about later on in the show as well. I've got them 2, and then I would imagine we all have San Francisco number 1.
That's right.
I don't know if we've seen a stronger team on tape. No, maybe the undefeated regular season that New England had. But as far as overall talent, their playmakers consistently making plays without the type of quarterback you're thinking of. I don't know if we've seen this.
It's not at that New England level for me because, I mean, they have 3 losses.
Right.
And they were all in a row. But when they are healthy, the Niners are the best team in football, and I don't think it's particularly close. Especially now with Bosa. Or not Bosa, with Chase Young and Bosa.
Yeah. I don't get it, man. Like, they're good, but that's what they're going to run into. If something happens, it's like a Ferrari. Like, if there's anything that happens on the body, you got to shut it down like that. That's them right now, man. So it's going to be fascinating to see what their playoff run is going to look like because the playoffs are a little bit more physical.
Yeah, because when Debo went out, things went down a little in terms of production. But they still have Christian McCaffrey. And Brock Purdy now one of the favorites for MVP, which he continues to amaze us.
615-737-1045. That's top 7 and bottom 3 coming up. A deeper dive into exactly what happened to Trevor Lawrence last night and what it could mean for the rest of the AFC South as Houston gets that much closer to the top of the division, courtesy of a masterclass from Jake Browning on Monday Night Football. We'll get to that coming up next as we broadcast live from Toy Field, presented by A.O. Smith today at Nissan Stadium. We're building a field of toys to benefit Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program, needing your help to bring by an unwrapped toy or a gift for the elderly, for a senior today to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program. Special thanks to A.O. Smith, Cool Ray, Pig and Pie, Hattie B's, O'Charlie's, and we are excited to be here throughout the morning here at Nissan Stadium. Monday Night Football, we'll dive into that coming up next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. You know the future of joint pain relief is here, and it is QC Kinetics Advanced Regenerative Medicine, and it's amazing stuff. You've been maybe told that steroids, surgery are your only options, but that is not the case at all. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. And I'm talking about long-lasting relief, folks. QC Kinetics does not mask the pain. These treatments go to the very root of the problem using concentrated healing properties that are placed directly in your joint. They restore and repair that damaged tissue. I'm dealing with a little bit of a hip injury right now after running on my vacation. Maybe your shoulders, your back are hurting you. Well, this allows you no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. So give them a call. It's QC Kinetics. They'll give you a free consultation if you call them now. It's 615-249-4024. That's QC Kinetics at 615-249-4024.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone as we broadcast live from Nissan Stadium. It is the 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive presented by A.O. Smith as we build a field of toys to benefit Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program. Asking for your help throughout the day. We will be here until 6 p.m. So if you are unable to come say hello to us, that is quite all right. Blaine and Mickey, Buck Rising Show, 3HL will be here with all of our other Cumulus Nashville friends as we help us create miracle moments for families in our communities. Just asking for an unwrapped toy gift for a senior to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program. 615-737-1045 is the number. Last night, guys, C.J. Beathard, Franklin native, fought valiantly to put Jacksonville in range for a field goal range for a late tie against the Bengals. Unable to do so. 34-31. Cincinnati 6-6, and Jake Browning completed 32 of 37 passes for 354 and 1 touchdown.
Really good game. I didn't realize C.J. Beathard was from Franklin.
Yeah.
Battleground Academy.
I did not realize.
Who used to be with the Niners, too.
My son played them last night. That's crazy.
Nice.
Fascinating. Well, no, really good game, man, showing, again, the backup quarterback means a lot. Of course, Cincinnati's quarterback, Jake Browning, has been in the fold for a little while anyway. He's our guy moving forward as far as we know, so you can understand his level of awareness and readiness. But Jacksonville played lights out. They got some playmakers, man. I think if you watched that game, you saw two teams, despite the quarterback, that had really good skill players. From the running backs to the wide receivers to tight ends. The tight ends absolutely showed up in a major way for the teams yesterday. So it's good to see them do those types of things and just say, if you got skill players, this is what I've said and kind of watch me true for a little while anyway. The skill players matter. The quarterback does too, and it's the main piece that's on the board. But having some real good skill players matters a lot. Evan Ingram's launching tight end launching touchdown that he had last night was a really good run and catch, man, situation for them. And of course, you can't forget about Jamar Chase. Both sides to me have some really good elite skill players on their squads.
Yeah, Evan Ingram obviously in the past has, had his way with the Titans. Obviously looking at a kind of a second redeeming of his career since coming to Jacksonville. Yeah, he had a huge night, 9 receptions, 82 yards, a TD. And then you have Jamar Chase. I mean, when he's healthy and he's on that field, he is such a difference maker. And it goes to show because you've got your backup quarterback, like you mentioned, out there. But when you have the weapons like him and the types of catches he's making, man, you can find success. That was a really fun game to watch, you guys. High scoring. The celebrations nowadays, by the way, in the end zone, are they choreographed? Because they look better than some of my dance routines that I choreographed in high school. Like, they're legit.
Yeah, Eli Manning was in on the first
He
one.
was, yeah.
From what, Joe Mixon, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the fact that these dudes can just grow old gracefully. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine Eli and Peyton and stuff that they're doing right now. Also, another topic of conversation, has kicking from 48 to 52 plus now the norm as far as kickers in the league? Like,
I don't know. I mean, McPherson did doink the one from 57.
It's 57.
And he's one of the best to do it right now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, anything before 57 is clutch, other than like Justin Tucker and maybe one or two other guys in the league. But used to worry about a 40-yard field goal.
Right. It does feel like 55 is the new 50. Sorry.
It does. No, that's just essentially all I'm saying. Like, 55 is the new, like, 50 or 45. Like, it's wild watching the level of skill come into the league. And, of course, with the Aussie-style punting in college, is by far one of the biggest waves. I don't think – I say this. We're talking about freaking special teams, right? I say this, but, like, it matters when you're talking about points and what scoring positions mean to certain teams versus others. Like, even here, Nick Folk, the job that he's done this year, nobody expected that to be the case, but it's become somewhat the norm moving forward.
Yeah, he was signed off the street late just because they had to make a move, right?
Yeah.
He was traded for.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
Jake Browning last night completed every one of his 7 pass attempts over 10 air yards. That's incredible. 7 for 7 for 170 yards and a touchdown on passes that were attempted over 10 yards. It was funny when you opened up the Manning cast right at the very beginning of this game. That's the first thing Peyton Manning said, was that they would probably do the opposite. Like, hey, they want short passes. They've got a lot of athletes. They want to get the ball to Jamar Chase in space and then just let him cut through defenders and make a play with the ball in his hands. That was not the case ultimately in this one. Browning becoming the 10th player in Super Bowl era to throw for 350-plus yards and a completion percentage of at least 85% in a regular season game.
It's pretty wild because I was just asked this one question as far as people searching for their guy. At least I always have this conversation with myself. What is a franchise quarterback? Jake Browning went out, of course, this is in a reserve role, but 354 yards and touchdowns, no turnovers.
Do we need to talk about Cincinnati making the AFC playoffs again now?
We might have to
Think they
spark
gotta
that
be
conversation up.
They've gone to Jacksonville and won.
Yeah.
They have a quarterback that is moving the football efficiently. The Browns don't look like the team that they were
Pittsburgh's lost
in
their
the
spot.
AFC North. Pittsburgh is regressing.
Yep.
Interesting. Not something I expected. I think Zach Taylor's just a heck of a coach.
He is.
Got to give it up to him.
I think he's a really good coach.
Yeah, and he's been that way for a little while there. And, of course, that was the biggest thing with Marvin Lewis that they had question about. How is Marvin Lewis coaching those guys up?
Right. 615-737-1045. Coming up next, a reset of the headlines from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday as Mike Vrabel makes his first midseason staff change. What's next, and how does that now function within the locker room as different coaches will take different responsibilities, specifically in special teams, for the rest of the season? We're broadcasting live from Nissan Stadium. The 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive continues after this.
7:01, good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Pleasantly surprised with how good Monday Night Football was last night. And for the Bengals, no Burrow, no problem, as Jake Browning led the Bengals to a win in overtime over the Jags, 34-31. Browning finished with 354 passing yards, one touchdown through the air, another on the ground. Trevor Lawrence, though, was injured late in the fourth quarter and did not return. After the game, Doug Peterson says medical professionals labeled it as an ankle sprain and would get more information today when Trevor Lawrence gets an MRI. To the Titans, as yesterday they made their first in-season coaching change under Mike Vrabel, relieving special teams coordinator Craig Ackerman from his position. Tom Quinn will take over as the new special teams coach. And a piece of good news for Titans fans, as Mike Vrabel also updated Derrick Henry's health after leaving the game early Sunday. Henry is not in concussion protocol and should be a go for Monday in Miami. And now down to the 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive, sponsored by A.O. Smith and Coolray at Nissan Stadium. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast for a second hour on 104.5 The Zone. Hope you're having a great start to your Tuesday morning. And if you are beginning your commute to work, maybe your commute to work is just walking into the living room, maybe make that commute over to Nissan Stadium just for a few minutes. Grab an unwrapped toy or a gift for a senior. Bring it to us here at the 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive. We are here at Gate 1, east side of Nissan Stadium. The easiest way to remember that is if you're going to East Nashville, it's on that side of Nissan Stadium. And I'm a bigger idiot than anyone when it comes to any kind of geography. That is literally the way I have to think of it every single time. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh back in our 104.5 The Zone studios. Kirby Allen Kirby keeping us between the navigational beacons here live from Nissan Stadium. I'm Will Bowling, 615-737-1045, the phone number. And Craig Ackerman is gone.
He's out of there, y'all. Never say never, right? A lot of people are of the mindset, Vrabel will never do this and he'll never do that. And you know what he did, Will? Kayla? He opened up the press conference. Did you see it? Were you expecting it, Kayla?
Well, I literally had opened up my Twitter and seen that, and then the press conference started 2 minutes later, which was, I don't think that has happened ever really for Vrabel in terms of having to talk about an announcement like that the minute that news breaks.
I was seeing some of the you guys, Kayla, on social media of the press, the media, y'all big J journalists. You know, I'm on the other side of the thing, just chilling, waiting on y'all to give me all the information. But we're just saying, like, have we gotten across the Vrabel on the fact that he opened up with a firing and, of course, disclosed a bunch of injuries and gave, like, real updates and stuff like that? But either way, I guess that lets you know the severity of what happened on Sunday, how it looks, what this team feels like, and being inside a locker room where coaches have gotten fired. I hadn't had one get let go, Will and Kayla, listeners, during the season. I had a real clear understanding that a coach was going to get fired after the season, though, numerous times.
Yeah, so when that happens, what is easier, just going ahead and ripping off the bandage or working with someone who you know is gone at the end of the season?
I would think ripping off the bandage. Go ahead, getting it done. Because here's the thing about it. I love NFL locker rooms, heck, almost any locker room, right? But you know what's always apparent, though, Will, Kayla, is gossip. Boy, some chatty patties inside a locker room.
In the locker room?
Oh, it's always some
Okay.
tea. Well, you know, coach said this, and that. And that type of stuff kind of festers a little long. You understand the guy that's doing the job probably isn't the smartest at doing it. Like, that's the thing about it. I continually tell people, when it comes down to the game, when it comes down to understanding of how stuff's supposed to look and what the operation's supposed to, be on game day, the respect, how you view that coach, his role as a team, as a coach on the team matters. Players know that, and players can see when it's bad, and players can't wait to not be coached by a bad coach either. So, of course, I think it's better to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. The integrity of the squad matters. It does. Keeping everything in-house and not having it be, a distraction. It's more of a distraction sometimes to have that coach around longer. And Coach Ackerman, as far as what happened on Sunday, one block punt, I'll say this time and time again, okay, you got me on the game plan. For you to get me twice, that's almost that's inexcusable is what it is. 2 block punts in a game is inexcusable because your detail is supposed to be higher than most. You don't have a position. You have a group, and that group is supposed to be tight. You got the best athletes in the world to make this happen, and you got outsmarted. Don't be considered, and I don't want to call Coach Ackerman this, but I guess globally, like that's pretty neglectful. I don't want to call it dumb, but that's pretty neglectful to have 2 block punts in a game.
Yeah, I'll call it dumb because it was. I mean, you got your best player hurt, and you have to take accountability. And Mike Vrabel had to take accountability, thus firing Craig Ackerman. And, yeah, we've never seen him do it in season, but times are changing. Like, moves have to be made. And when you have that type of a malpractice in terms of in-game with getting your punter hurt, like, there had to have been action taken. And I think fans were a little bit relieved to see it now. And I think for players, they understand, right? Craig Ackerman's a great guy. Very good dude. And so was Todd Downing, right? Great dude. But that doesn't mean that you can't get fired from your job. And so to me, I respect Mike Vrabel for, doing this in season. It's never easy, but it had to be done.
In the F&M Bank Chat, you can react with the show, watch the show on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Couple of comments I want to address on the YouTube channel in the F&M Bank Chat, where UW says, pretty sure Vrabel was given an ultimatum in Ackerman's firing. And Chris says, Vrabel feels the heat, which is why his behavior is changing. I don't see any scenario of either of those things. I can tell you pretty confidently that as of today, December the 5th, I don't think there is any sort of heat on Mike Vrabel's job within that building.
What's the ultimatum?
No.
Because here's the thing, too, and I found this out from Mike Keefe. Yes, Coach Ackerman was here before Vrabel was.
Yes, he was. Right.
So it's not like he had, hey, that's one of his boys. Like, did they become friends? Yes. Is the coaching world interconnected? Absolutely. But that's the reality of the situation, too, is Ackerman was here before Vrabel was. So it's not like there was a friend looking out for a friend in those moments. I just wanted to get clarity on that, too.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And it still could have been a little bit, right? I mean, like, there is some truth to even guys that predate Vrabel getting here. Vrabel was too protective over Craig Ackerman as a special teams coach and wasn't willing to make changes for a unit that has not been great. But the point is valid, though, absolutely, that making the argument that this is just another guy that Mike Vrabel brought with him from Houston or brought with him from X, Y, or Z place, that is not accurate. This is not a Mike Mularkey, Terry Robisky situation. Because special teams coaches, I don't think, function within the same realm as offensive coordinators.
Right.
I don't know a single head coach that is going to be given an ultimatum for his special teams coach to be let go. Like that's a ridiculous comparison. Ridiculous.
Did Vrabel bury his lead too moving forward as far as decisions like this? I felt a Sunday when he was taking the me, and hey, this is on me, blame me conversation. Moving forward, when being put in this spot again, is Vrabel taking all the heat, really deflecting upon the guy that actually did it? Because you don't take all that heat on Sunday. You do as a head coach, but to not give an answer as to why there was a breakdown in special teams and the injuries and whatnot, he took a lot of heat. And everybody was wondering, what are you going to do? Well, he did it behind closed doors. Like, is that his method moving forward, is to blame me and watch me make changes later? That's what I thought this past weekend.
And you're right. He did it more than usual in terms of, like, saying, hey, it's on me, and didn't even mention Craig Ackerman's name once. And I did actually look at that and think, oh, man, does this mean something? Because he's never been one to throw anybody under the bus unless it's a player that clearly, he feels needs to be called out. But he's very careful with that. But coaches, he does not do that. And so I thought that was interesting that he went out of his way to say, it's on me. probably to make the decision that he made, right?
Yeah, and of course, when you look at it, too, no matter what, it's embarrassing for Coach Ackerman. I think most coaches will, make an excuse for him. I think he'll find his way and footing in, whether it be college or whether it be the NFL also. He had this job for a very long time. He'll be fine. But the idea that this was good, I think is one of maybe other pieces to fall. Everybody that's having a middle of the road career here for this team, like it's gonna have to shape up at some point. And here's why I preface it with moving forward too, man. This is a big old staff.
Ooh,
And with a lot of experience, okay? So if Vrabel doesn't go out of house, you got Charles London as a coach on this squad. There are so many other different people who coach positions or are specialty pieces at other spots that you might not get your wish in Vrabel going outside. I think Shane Bowen may be fine. I think Tim Kelly is going to be fine. Position coaches, there's a lot of help inside the building, whether that be outside linebacker coaches, whatever the case may be. Analysts. There are coaches in-house. So if you're expecting a worldwide coaching search, it might be in-house.
615-737-1045. The other question in the F&M Bank chat, can you say Vrabel's behavior and answers were more open and forthcoming yesterday? I think we hear a lot of forthcoming answers from Mike Vrabel on Mondays.
Yeah. He gets to actually look at a little bit of film.
I don't think yesterday was anything super uncommon from him on Monday. Sunday press conferences when he's right after the game, heat of the moment, and says, we'll have to go look back at the film or we'll make a clear evaluation. We've talked about that this season all year, that usually on Mondays, Vrabel's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he has been. I think it's because, to Caleb's point, he's able to see the tape.
Yep.
I don't realize how fast he's at the podium. Like, by the time I leave the field and go up to the press box, like, within, 3 minutes, he's at the podium. So it's very emotional. So I don't blame him for being snarky and just quick answered on Sundays and being better on Mondays.
Coming up next, we'll take a look inside the college football playoffs committee and their decision to put in Alabama over Florida State. There's an interesting piece from ESPN's Heather Dinich that I think it gives us a very clear reason as to why Alabama is in and Florida State is not. And it has to do with last year's playoff. That's next on RKW.
When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. We are afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed right away, or it may be a small problem now that'll become bigger later, or it could be nothing at all. Bottom line is we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. What we need is a peace of mind, and United Structural Systems is the company to give that. They have over 25,000 100% satisfied residential customers, and here's how they made that happen. When USS comes out to your house, you're going to get a problem solver who can provide a peace of mind to their customers. That's the homeowners. You're not going to get someone who's worried about meeting a sales quota or upselling the next big thing, but someone there to educate you and help you understand what is happening with your home. At USS, the only measure of success is how satisfied the homeowner is and not a closing ratio. Homeowners trust USS, keeping homes dry and stable for over 25 years. USS, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. You can reach them online at USSTN.com or call them 615-488-7855.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone as our Toy Field presented by A.O. Smith Toy Drive show continues here in hour number 2. 615-737-1045, our number. We've got curbside drop-off at Nissan Stadium. That's also available along South 2nd Street in front of Gate 1 today. You could drop by and drop off your unwrapped toy or gift for a senior to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program this morning. We're going to make it very easy for you. Don't even have to get out of your car. You can keep the seat warmer on, stay warm in your vehicle. Just toss it out the window, and we'll put it on the field for you.
Might as well. I mean, that way you ain't got to get up out of the elements, man. We will work for you.
That's right.
If you work for the toys and kids. How about that, Will? Is that
Absolutely
solid?
right.
I live with that.
So, guys, reading this article from Heather Dinich of ESPN.com inside the College Football Playoff Committee's decision putting Alabama over Florida State, I have a theory on something that I don't think should have been under consideration from the playoff committee, but was. And it has to do with this one specific quote from one committee member to Heather Dinich, who says, all of us had the emotional tie. Holy crap, I'll say, for lack of a better term. This is really going to suck to do this, one committee member told ESPN. Says, we talked about that over and over, and we just kept coming back to, are they good enough with what they have to win a national championship? And it just kept coming back to, we didn't think Florida State could. Guys, I think TCU's loss in the national championship game last year was in the mind of committee members, and I know that it's not the completely same committee with the 13 people who were on it. I think the way Georgia embarrassed TCU last year raised the burden of proof for this committee to pick the 4 teams that they felt like had the best chance to win a national championship. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not. And it was embarrassing. Say what you want about this. They don't want bad TV. And that's a terrible place to be, because if I'm not a bad team, but I have bad moments where injuries happen on my squad, then that takes me out of consideration. Like, I know what TCU went through last year. Maybe the moment was just too big for them, and maybe TCU wasn't a bad squad. We don't know that, but the showing tells me we can't allow this again. I thought it's very unfair. It was just wrong. It was. Like, I'm looking at the ranking slide right now. I get the 2+1s. Michigan, Washington naturally move up because of what they got going on. But then you see +4 and +4 and -1. The one that gets me more than anything, y'all, is the -5 that Georgia took as far as the slide in the rankings. I, for the life of me, do not understand it. I get it. But here's the thing, and I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists, but I understand what sells. I'm not checking in to watch, the Jets versus Jets versus Washington.
I mean, Jets-Dolphins on Thursday Night Football did not get good ratings.
You see what I'm saying?
On Black Friday.
I get that, and I understand the reasoning. But as far as if we want to consider these colleges, the amateurs, and what's important, it's about having the best teams. I think, Will, we look at this weekend. There were some, as far as the Tennessee high school football playoffs, right, the championship games. And y'all know this because, Kayla, you've covered high school ball too. Check this out, though. The best teams is who make it to the playoffs, right? Not the team with the best players. Not the team with the best players. Because there's a lot of other teams in this state that have better players. They have better athletes. But it's the teams that actually make it to the championship. If you tell me as a youth you want to go play for a school that has a good team, well, guess what? Florida State is a good team, but they got pushed out because they don't have the right players. That's where it starts to get, okay, now this is more and more of a business. We need to start talking about what the actual money means, because if we're being honest about this entire situation, it is about the money. I know Florida State has a lot of history. They have a ton of history. But when it really boils down to it, they don't have the right players to make the most amount of money for the draw that that the college football playoffs is going to suggest you need.
I think the late, great Mike Leach back in 2017 when he was at Washington State said it best. And you can go look at that kind of quote from him that's going around right now, social media, because he pretty much said, he was joking, like, oh, we're America, we need a committee to do this. Like, what other playoff system they need a committee to decide who the best 4 college teams are in the country. They do. They need it. And he kind of joked about how it's not about what they're doing on the field when it comes down to it now. It's emotions getting involved. And you saw it from the quote that Will just read. I mean, there are emotions involved because there's human beings picking the Final Four. And I think that's a big reason why you see a Florida State team not get in, because you see, okay, shoot, you have the emotions of, yeah, they're undefeated, but you also know you're going to have a lot of people not wanting to watch Florida State because they're going to assume your second or third string quarterback can't get it done against an Alabama or a Michigan, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there's so much emotion that comes into picking these Final Four teams, and it's going to happen with a, 12-team playoff will be a little bit different. But there's human error, and you knew with what happened, this could have been the worst-case scenario for this committee this year. It was the worst-case scenario. And Tua Tagovailoa said it best last night on the Eli and Peyton cast for Monday Night Football. They said, or he said, I should say, it wasn't fair, but I'm not opposed to, obviously, he went to Alabama. It's right. Like, it's going to be right when it's all said and done, because it's probably going to make for some of the best Final Four teams in there and the best matchups. I don't know if Florida State could have been one of those teams that made it a game. Maybe. Ohio State did it with Cardell Jones back in the day. You can't just predict, just because it's not the top quarterback, that it's not going to be a good game and Florida State can't put up a fight. You can't predict that. Mm-hmm. But that is what you get when they have to make a rational decision when it comes to TV, money, all of the stuff.
Well, even without a committee, though, Alabama would have been third in the old BCS formula.
Yeah.
I mean, even without a committee, I think we're having the same discussion, but then it's Florida State would have been 4 and Texas would have been 5. And is that the right decision to leave a Texas team out that's cruised their way to a Big 12 championship?
Georgia will be out in the old BCS also?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah, they would have
okay.
been. I think they actually would have fallen farther.
I've learned to cope with that a little bit better.
There would have been 6, so yeah, same spot.
I've learned to cope with the Georgia thing a little bit better. I have. But I still don't get it, because from regular season to this postseason, I know it weighed a little bit different. It really is. I don't think Georgia would have fallen that far. I just don't think they would have went from 1 to 6 if this was October 28th. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and here's the other thing too. If you put an Alabama jersey where Florida State was, I think you made this point yesterday, Will.
Right.
Is Bama moved out?
Well, but that has.
I just want to know that is Bama moved out?
Is Nick Saban still their coach?
Yes.
This hypothetical scenario,
Yes.
then I mean, if Nick Saban deserves the benefit of the doubt, he just does, and it's not fair to those Florida State players. It's not fair to Tate Rodmaker or Jordan Travis, but having the greatest coach in the history of the sport means something.
So does. It ruins the game for everybody else involved in. It'll continue to be the haves versus the have-nots. So let me say this. Universities like ours, university like Nebraska that's trying to get right. Let's go to Oklahoma, who's got a new head coach. Let's go to Washington. Let's go to those types of schools who are adamantly trying to be on the forefront of recruiting and trying to win. And they'll tell you at the end of the day, it still doesn't matter. Miami, for what it's worth. You know what I'm saying? They'll still tell you it's not worth what you think it is. Like, you got to go get a named coach. You got to be able to have a crazy NIL to go get top players.
That's right.
And even if you do some of those things, and what Florida State has done, they've crushed the transfer portal. They're flipping guys from LSU right now. And you're still telling me because it's not Nick Saban and it's Coach Norvell.
Yeah.
That matters at the end of the day. That
in a 14 playoff, it does.
The game. It ruins the game to me.
Well, and it's crazy, too, because FSU, Florida State, has tons of tradition in terms of football, but it's not recent, right? And Alabama is recent. They continue to be Alabama and win championships and put out these types of seasons. When Florida State, they just haven't had that recently. They're building to it. And what Mike Norvell and company has done, it's incredible. And that's why it sucks, because it's like, unless you have done something recent and you are the latest, kind of team that brings in the ratings, I just feel like they're like, okay, you can wait. You can wait.
I understand it. Let me say this.
I don't think ratings has anything to do with it.
I understand it.
In terms of bringing in game matchups with Florida State compared to an Alabama?
I don't think that is in the committee's mind at all, no.
So you don't think at all that Nick Saban and Alabama, they're not thinking they're more of a team that will get eyes on them
No, I don't think
in
that's a
those
part of it.
semifinal games? I think it's a part of it, absolutely.
Well, I just think
How
at that
does it
point,
not? Nobody
because
wants to watch a third-string quarterback for Florida State.
right, but that doesn't have to do with television. That has to do with what gives you the best game and the most competitive 14 playoff. I don't think. I mean, ESPN. The conspiracy theory that ESPN is picking the playoff. If ESPN was
I
picking
didn't
the
say
playoff,
that.
I know you're not. I'm saying the conspiracy theory that ESPN is helping pick the playoff. Georgia would have made it if that was the case. Right? You would have had Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and Alabama,
preseason top
or
four,
Colorado.
yeah.
Throw Colorado in there. I don't think ratings have anything to do with it. And this in the conversation that Heather Dinich writes and says, one source tells her in the room, people may not believe it, but we don't say, oh gosh, if we vote this way, the SEC is going to be left out. That never came up. We literally look at teams, put them against each other, and say, who did they beat? Who did they not beat? Who have they beaten on the road? What's their strength of schedule? Look at the matrix and all of the data. I don't think they're thinking of TV. I think they're thinking, well, what keeps us from having a 65-7 national
But
championship game?
TV's money, and we just said that money matters.
Right, but this playoff isn't going to exist next year. I mean,
Right.
there's no incentive for them to make the 4-team playoff more profitable when the 12-team playoff has already been signed, sealed, and delivered. Like, what's the incentive for them to bring in more television dollars for the 13-person committee? That doesn't make them any more money.
My angle on this one is just looking at what teams have done versus what others have done similar. Like, we got an undefeated conference champ on the outside looking in. And I know strength of schedule matters, but mine goes to the level playing field when it comes down to specifically college football. That's where it becomes bothersome to me, is to say, if you're not one of the premier four that we speak of, and it's probably about 6 or 7, I mean, they're in this so far, okay? Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, you throw Oregon, just a few more in that conversation. I think even Clemson's on the outside looking in. Like, to justify your means of being relevant in college football, you got to be either that top tier or the second level of being at the highest rung of the second tier. That's where you at. Other than that, what are you going to school for? I think it really diminishes a little bit of what the goals are of what college is. What are the bowl games now? If I was a player at Ohio State, at Florida State, and I know I'm going to the NFL, I'm probably elected not to play in these bowl games now. And I know it probably doesn't matter, but it really does tarnish what the game actually is, like the enjoyment of it. The idea that Andy Staples said, mostly everybody, because you can hire and fire any coach you want to based off wins and losses, and faster than you ever have before. If you're not first, you're last. That's college football right now. If you're not first, you're last. And I don't think there's any room for anybody else moving forward.
615-737-1045. Tom is in the borough with us on the phone lines talking college football this morning. What's up, Tom?
Doing great. Just got a quick comment. I realize, other teams work really hard, have a great season, go undefeated in these other conferences. But the SEC is so much more dominant, top to bottom. And obviously, we can't have a 64-team playoff like college basketball. But if you did that, it would just be like 8 SEC teams and maybe 6 others, right? It's the Sweet 16. But, yeah, get off the phone. But just, you got to understand the dominance of the SEC.
Who are you a fan of?
Yes. I'm a UT fan, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. So if Tennessee was in Florida State's position, what would you say?
Tennessee's in the SEC, so they wouldn't be in Florida State's position.
Exactly.
I just feel like these other conferences, they're getting weaker. They're getting
That's
weaker
right.
and weaker every year, and the SEC's getting stronger. You guys recruit some better teams. You combine the Pac-10 and like the Big Ten, and or do something like that. But you can't, be in a weak conference and think that you're going to get the same benefit of the doubt if you lose a game. So
I just needed to hear you say
y'all have a great,
Thank you.
yeah, y'all have a great day. Thanks.
I will say this, though, and look, I've been on record many times. I've covered tons of conferences saying that the SEC is the most dominant conference. But this year has been a bit down compared to, I will say, the Pac-12 had a great year. The Big Ten, I think they were okay. And the SEC was obviously good, but a little bit down from what we've seen in years past just because of, I think, some of the quarterback play specifically. So I would agree in some ways, but I disagree. I think this year you've got a little bit of everybody representing for the most part. Yeah. I kind of like that. I wouldn't be opposed to Georgia being in it too, because I think Georgia's still one of the best teams. They lost by 3 to Alabama. You know?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. It's just the timing. We talk about timing all the time, Ramon, and you said this loss did come for Georgia at the complete wrong time.
Did. But here's the other. I can say all that and still say I think they got it right. They did. Alabama got better than.
Thank you.
No, but my point.
I know.
You know, my point is just you get what you deserve in this world, right? Yeah. And sports has always been a level playing field. I've always said in sports you can get whatever answer you're looking for. This fan base wanted something to happen as far as the coaches, right? Ackerman. And guess what happens? In sports, it reveals itself. If you work hard, more times than not, you're going to get your payoff. If you're on a good team, more times than not, you're going to win a whole lot. If you're a good player, no matter where you play at, okay, they will come and find you. You're going to get found. And the way I look at this is saying sometimes it's just slanted against you.
I do think the SEC conversation is interesting, and to people that want to say, too, that the ACC had a positive record against the SEC. Actually just saw this thread from Kyle Tucker, The Athletic, on Twitter, who makes a good point, that the ACC's wins over the SEC this year were against a 2-10 Vanderbilt team, a 5-7 South Carolina team, 5-7 Florida, 7-5 Texas A&M, and then FSU beating LSU. If you really want to say that a conference is better than the SEC, you got to put number 1 team against number 1 team, number 2 team against number 2 team. You cannot do that with the ACC against the SEC this year.
You can't. I agree with that.
There was uncertainty at the quarterback position, of course, but I think a lot of those questions got answered too, right? Jalen Milroe at this point is not the Jalen Milroe we were asking questions about when Alabama was benching him against South Florida. Jayden Daniels, that we were asking questions about at the beginning of the season, is going to be the Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, you got Jackson Dart at Ole Miss that ended up taking a team whose Vegas total was 7.5 before the season, and they win 10 games, right? I think at this point, Alabama's benefit is the fact that they survived. They survived all of that, and they came out of it better. I'll give you the argument, the devil's advocate, to what Nick Saban has said, and I hate this argument that, well, you want the games to matter more late in the season, and you want this to all be who's the best team right now at this point. You still have to count the loss to Texas early, because without that Texas loss, does Bama become what it is now, right? If Texas loses to Alabama in Tuscaloosa and Alabama wins that game, do they make the necessary changes to the offense for Jalen Milroe that they need in order to become the SEC champions and a team that's capable of beating Georgia, right? Your losses do make you better in some context, and Nick Saban said it, that, look, the way we played against Auburn's a blessing because everybody pays more attention in the meeting room after you have a game like that.
I think for Nick Saban and that team, it was just about growth. I don't know if it was about a specific loss. I just think that team needed time to grow, and I think it helps that you took on a team maybe a little bit better before conference play, to learn some of those things. But I think that was just one of the best coaching jobs we've seen from Nick Saban in a while, just because that team was not perfect from the start by any means. He had to bench Jalen Milroe at one point. So it was more of a growth process, I think, for that team to be where they are now.
Only playing devil's advocate real quick, though, but Florida State grew, and also
that's true.
Georgia's quarterback grew some this year, too.
Yeah, he did.
It just is what it is. I get it. And
Carson Beck had a great year.
The top 4 is legit and solid, and I ain't going to change it, but I just say you skewed the way you should. They've ranked throughout the year.
615-737-1045 as we broadcast live from Nissan Stadium at our Toy Field Toy Drive presented by A.O. Smith. Coming up, we've got our Heisman finalists. Did Heisman voters get the right wide receiver to head to New York? That's next on RKW.
At Genesis Diamonds, they are rolling back prices and finance rates so you can get that headliner gift for this Christmas. Maybe it's that pair of diamond earrings or that all-new designer fashion bracelet or that dazzling 2-carat diamond ring. It's all more affordable because at Genesis, they've got special pricing across the board, and Zero interest financing for 5 years. So you can get that $3,000 diamond pendant and pay just $50 a month. Or the $6,000 eternity band for just $100 a month. Everything's included in this amazing holiday offer, too. All GI certified natural diamonds and all lab grown diamonds. Even their luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. Imagine a $15,000 Rolex for just $250 a month. You can even finance the sales tax. So don't let the talk of rising prices and high interest rates dampen your holiday spirit. At Genesis, they are lowering prices and taking interest rates down to zero. So get that amazing gift they deserve and make your money go farther than ever. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs on approved credit.
Our Toy Field Toy Drive is presented by A.O. Smith today live from Nissan Stadium. The phone number 615-737-1045. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll take a look at the story that came out from The Athletic yesterday. Zach Wilson is reluctant to start a game, apparently. That's a real sentence
That's not good.
and a real thing that happened. We'll talk about that. We'll take a look as well at the Titans' injuries, as told by Mike Vrabel yesterday. A reminder as well that curbside drop-off available for Toy Field today at Nissan Stadium. That's going to be along South 2nd Street. We're in front of Gate 1 here on the east side of the stadium as we help create miracle moments for families in our community. Again, unwrapped toy or gift for a senior to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program. That is where you can come see us. Heisman finalists are official, guys. Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix. I have no issue with any of those three. Marvin Harrison Jr., the fourth player invited to New York. Was he deserving, in your opinion, of being the fourth finalist?
Best college player, I don't know. Best NFL prospect so far out of the four? Yes. He's the best NFL prospect. I think he deserves a seat at the table for sure. For the last 2 years, everybody has touted this young man as a top 3 pick for the last 2 years. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with him having a seat. Does he get the votes to win? Probably not.
I think that I always like when you mix it up a little bit by putting just at least one player that's not a quarterback. And clearly not a lot of times do they win it, and
Right.
I don't think he's going to win it, obviously. I think it will be Jaden Daniels. But I could argue even, and I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be spectacular at the next level. I mean, he had a good year, but you look at also a guy who's had a spectacular season alongside him in terms of wide receiver down in LSU is Malik Neighbors. He's had an incredible season. I know it helps to have Jaden Daniels throwing to you, right? But I'd say he emerged as maybe one of the favorites this year in terms of that position specifically, guys. So I would even argue, man, he could be there.
Yeah.
I think he should be. I think Malik Neighbors should have been the fourth guy ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. Heck, even Rome Odunze from Washington would have had a better case than Marvin Harrison Jr. Jaden Daniels throwing to Malik Neighbors this year, who had 19 more catches than Marvin Harrison Jr. and over 330 more yards. The only place where they tied were touchdowns with 14. Marvin Harrison Jr., 67 catches for 1,211 yards. And then Malik Neighbors, 86 catches for 1,546 yards, each of them with 14 scores.
So was this a decision that's made off star power and TV value then?
I would say this one was, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
That's fair. I mean,
And the name of Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yep.
absolutely. And the university, all of that goes into it. I ain't mad at what's happening. I really ain't. I just wish they just tell us. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem whatsoever discussing this daily on this radio station here for 4 hours a day at all. I love this type of stuff because the chaos of what it is awesome. And not even just throw that in there, too. The idea that, hey, yeah, we'll throw in an extra player. And in reality, it simply just is. It's a quarterback's award. It really is. That's essentially what it is. It's a quarterback award. And we'll see the day when somebody else wins it besides them. Or an Alabama running back.
I mean, and look, who did it just a couple of years ago from Alabama? I'm blanking it.
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith did win it just a few years ago. Obviously, he's been great in the league as well, so it's carried over. But a lot of these quarterbacks that win the Heisman, they don't necessarily even go on to do anything at the next level. And I know that's not the award, but I always love seeing them get it right in terms of the Heisman, and then they go on to actually have a career at the next level too. I think that's even more meaningful when that happens. But most of the time, you're right, it's a quarterback getting that award. Not always do these quarterbacks translate to the next level.
Right.
Mike in Fairview is up next, 615-737-1045. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I just wanted to comment on the whole Florida State thing, and I'd like to preface it by saying, yes, I am a Florida State fan, but I keep hearing that nobody wanted to see a playoff game with a third-string quarterback when the only reason the third-string quarterback in there was concussion protocol. If
Right.
we would have made it to the playoffs and against Georgia, we're going to have our second string quarterback in there, Tate Rodemaker, which he is a competent quarterback, unlike what you saw the other day. And I just don't understand why that's not why people keep saying nobody wants to see a third string quarterback when that's not what's going to happen. That's not what would have happened.
Can I preface that real quick? Because I don't know. I had said something about that. I'm trying to speak on what people have been telling me and what I've been hearing. I covered Ohio State with a third string quarterback. So I'm not ever going to say you can't go in there with a second or a third string quarterback and shock the world. And that's why I think it's kind of unfair, because you're making assumptions that even if it is your second string quarterback playing, if that were the case, which it would have been, that's still good enough to win, right? I just think the overall theme of people is, oh, it's not their top quarterback, they have no chance. And I feel like the committee, in a way, looked at that too.
615-737-1045. More of your phone calls coming up next. Austin Price of allquest.com will stop by at 8:20 talking about a big-time Tennessee recruiting target who is set to commit this week, and an even bigger commitment from a guy on their roster this past season. We'll tell you about those details coming up in Hour 3. But next, there is a quarterback in New Jersey that doesn't want to be a starting quarterback in New Jersey. That's next as we begin Hour 3 of RKW.
Good morning, 8 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Pleasantly surprised how good Monday Night Football was. No Burrow, no problem, as Jake Browning leads the Bengals to an overtime win against the Jaguars 34-31. Browning finished with 354 passing yards, 1 touchdown through the air, another one on the ground, as the Bengals take the lead. Trevor Lawrence, though, was injured late in the fourth quarter, did not return. Doug Peterson said medical officials labeled his injury as an ankle sprain. He was going to get more information today after Lawrence gets an MRI. Titans made their first in-season coaching change under Mike Vrabel, relieving special teams coordinator Craig Aukerman from his position. Tom Quinn will now take over as special teams coach. And a piece of good news for Titans fans, as Mike Vrabel also updated Derrick Henry's health after leaving the game early Sunday. Henry is non-concussion protocol and should be good to go for Monday in Miami. Now down to Nissan Stadium for our 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive, sponsored by A.O. Smith and Cool Ray. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And just like that, the second half of the show starts right now on RKW, brewed up by 8th and Roast. We are live from Nissan Stadium. It is the 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive presented by A.O. Smith. Today here at Nissan Stadium, as we build a field of toys to benefit Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program, needing your help to bring by unwrapped toys or gifts for a senior to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program. With Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling, Robert Walsh back in studio, and we are pleased to be joined by a truck full of toys from our friends at M. Bright Credit Union. Ron Smith here with us this morning. What's going on? How are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks so much, man. Yeah, I heard on the radio this morning this is 16 years for it, and we've been here 15.
Wow.
Awesome. So, I mean, this is awesome. You guys do an amazing job. And I got to tell you, every year, you guys are the ones who are out here. Rain, snow, sleet, whatever it is. And today being a great day, not bad at all. It's one of the best days we've had in 15 years.
Beautiful.
Absolutely is. So we can hear the trucks beeping and backing up stuff all around us. That is a good thing as the toys are starting to fill up here. Tell us about just all the stuff and the goodies that you guys have brought. This is just awesome.
Well, we start probably sometime in November. We started collecting funds. I got to give a huge shout out to the employees at NES and all of our members of Embright Credit Union, because they're the ones who make this possible for us. We collect donations throughout the month. We go out yesterday. We filled up 3 vehicles full of toys yesterday and bringing them here this morning. So this year, with the economy and everything, a little bit tougher on people. So we thank all of our members and all the people at NES that have donated to help out. And I implore everybody who's listening right now, come on down and see you guys.
No doubt about it. You mentioned the station's been doing this for 16, and you've been here for 15. Simply, why your level of consistency through this?
Because of you guys, mainly. I mean, Cumulus, you guys right here, 104.5, get to talk to you guys. But the biggest thing is there's a need out there. And what credit unions do is we give back. And this is one of our give backs to the community every year, just to help out, because there's always people in need, and we got to do it.
And that's also very true. You guys see a lot more local when you do credit unions and how you guys go about this. So you have a feel for what the community needs, what it looks like, and how to give to it also. And that's been something I'm sure has been very, very beneficial for you guys.
Oh, absolutely. We serve 5 counties around Davidson County, and that allows us to keep a pulse on everything that's going on with the people, their needs, and we try to assist however we can.
One thing about Middle Tennessee that I've realized moving here 7 years ago is there's so much giving in this community. I think you probably have seen that. Obviously, you guys representing that. Do you see that as well, just with how much this community seems to come together in a big but small city?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was born and raised in Southern California and left 16 years ago. And, Nashville and the surrounding area, Middle Tennessee, is so much more giving. I mean, people come out and they're really trying to give from their hearts here.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Smith from Embright Credit Union, our guest this morning here at Toy Field at Nissan Stadium. Not only are you bringing a ton of these toys, you're also the best dressed person here, Ron.
I know.
I love the cowboy hat.
Right?
Got the jacket. I mean, you're putting us all to shame here. Ramon's bundled up with 8 layers on. We're just trying to stay warm.
That was one of the first things I said to him.
That's
It was
right.
just like, you just look too good. It's like, you lost a couple pounds. I'm like, nah, but I need to look as good as you.
Ramon looks like the bodyguard to you.
I
That's right.
really am.
Exactly. There you go. Ramon's my bodyguard. I'm
Supporting
going to
guy.
hire Ramon.
I'm quitting this job after this, okay? You working money. I need, to figure out what's next to me. Me and you together, we can take over this entire city.
There
How
you
about
go. All right, man. This is a plan, Ramon.
that? And I got to be able to get a hat.
Oh, man.
I'm
All right.
telling you,
We'll
this
hook
is
up
good.
after the first year. I'll get you a hat.
I
There we
got
go.
it.
I'll
Can I
get you
look
a
as
hat.
cool as you? That's all I need. I don't need a hat if I can't look as good as you.
No, you look better than me. Trust me.
Well, see, my wife's listening. She already heard
That's
that.
right. Well, Ron, you guys are such a good partner with us and here at Cumulus Nashville. Again, Embright Credit Union, tell people where they can go to find out more about you.
Please, anybody who has any inquiries, www.enbrightcu.com or give us a call, 615-687-4801.
Awesome. Ron Smith,
Thank
Embright
you.
Credit Union, has been our guest. Ron, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys. Keep it up,
Absolutely.
guys. I appreciate you
Before
guys.
What was your favorite gift coming up? Just one. What was your favorite gift coming up?
Oh, favorite thing? Oh,
Yeah.
dude, horses.
Horses.
Started out with a stick pony, and now I
yeah.
got 4 horses in my backyard.
That's
Real
awesome.
ones, yeah,
Real
not
ones,
toys.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, real. That's what I was gonna say.
Love it.
No, I got 4 real ones. I got 4 1,200-pound dogs in my backyard.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's exactly what they are. For somebody whose granddad has raced horses before, I understand that lifestyle, boy. It is different. Them early mornings cleaning out them stalls.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking to go into the finance world.
That's right.
Yeah, but I'm in the finance world. I get up at 4 o'clock every morning. Then I go home at night and I start my second
Yep.
job. Last night I was
Man.
moving hay at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night.
God, that's some hard
Ramon
work
wants the
right
cowboy hat, but not the cowboy life.
That's all right. We
There we
can
go.
hook you up with that, Ramon.
there. Or Dallas Cowboys.
That's right. Ron, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Ron.
guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
Ryan. We appreciate you.
There's Ron Smith, Embright Credit Union, as we continue on here in hour number 1 and continue on with Toy Field. There's so many toys starting to fill up here as this field starts to pick up. We've got about row 2 or 3 that's starting up here.
It's great.
If I was a great teammate, I'd slide back through here for 3HL just to see the rest of it filled.
I
yeah.
know.
But
Take
I'm
pictures.
gonna say I got stuff going on, and I'll just have Savage send me pictures
There we
of it.
go.
Yeah, how about that? Is
Yep.
that cool? Because
That works.
it is going to get filled up, and we'll of course tell them if you're on the street side of the stadium, that's where we are, not the riverside.
Correct.
That's where my logistics come into play. Well, tell me riverside or street side. We're
Yeah,
on
so
street
we
side.
are on the east side of Nissan Stadium, gate 1 of the East Concourse. We are right next to the Titans Pro Shop. The curbside drop-off, so with some of the construction going on around us as well, you want to enter from the gateway side of the area around South 2nd Street in front of Gate 1. So the Woodland Street Bridge, you want to be on the opposite side, coming from the Korean Vet side of things, entering over there right over parallel to the pedestrian bridge. So that's where you want to come by and see us right here at Gate 1. Super easy. We're going to make it easy for you. Our entire Cumulus Nashville crew that helped you with a curbside drop-off. You can come in. You can say hello to us, grab a cup of coffee, and place your toy on the field yourself. But super easy process. You'll be in and out of here in 2 minutes. It's not going to add much time to your day at all. We are looking for unwrapped toys or a gift for a senior here to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program. And really appreciate our 8 a.m. hour brought to you by Embright Credit Union and the good folks there that are filling up this field in front of us.
Yeah, Ron just bringing the SUVs full of toys. I
That's
knew
right.
something was up because they just kept coming, right? Because we've got volunteers out there taking the gifts. And like he said, this is one of the best days that we've had out here. And the sun is out, guys. So if you're on your way to work or coming back from work or you have a free day, just come by and drop off a toy. It's a really cool event.
My wife and kids keep asking me what I want for Christmas. I think I figured it out, y'all.
What?
I want
A cowboy hat.
You want a horse?
A
I want a
horse.
horse.
A
You're
whole
going
horse.
big.
I want
Okay.
a whole horse.
All right.
If y'all can make that happen. Kurt
You
is
got
shaking his
you got
head.
some land for it?
I'll find it.
Okay.
Kayla.
Okay.
You got a backyard at Humble Hendersonville.
Yeah, that's true. Put him in the backyard.
My neighbor Shad got a pool, so he's got
Oh.
a fence. I can put it back there as
Watering
water.
hole.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a watering hole right there.
Goodness sakes.
And of course, it keep the yard cut. Of course,
And
right?
just eat it.
Every time you buy a new car, you're getting about what? 500 horses?
Sure.
1,000 horses?
That's all I'm saying.
You've got a lot of horsepower. Now you just want to trade that in for an actual horse.
Hey, you know what?
Which car are you going to trade in to buy?
Yours.
Okay.
Just have extra.
Yours, man. But no, man. It's better to give. I honestly don't know what I want to do for myself. This is awesome seeing people come drop off gifts here.
Really cool.
You don't realize who's being affected around you. In a need way, man. So if y'all can and have the funds for sure, come drop off a toy too.
Well, if you're feeling especially charitable today, take a one-way flight, go up to New York, stop by the Meadowlands, and drop off a quarterback for a team in need because the New York Jets are in bad need of one.
Oof.
The Jets preparing to make another change at quarterback, according to reports yesterday. But their top choice, according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, is reluctant to take the job. The Jets are leaning toward turning back to Zach Wilson to start, but he is hesitant to step back into the role. Robert Saleh said in his weekly Monday press conference that he had not decided who would start at quarterback against the Texans in Week 14, but that Wilson told him when they met 30 minutes before that he wanted to play. And apparently Aaron Rodgers reached out to Zach Wilson in an effort to advise him to resume the starter role, but at the time Wilson appeared apprehensive due to perceived injury risk.
It's just messy.
Who looks the worst out of this? The Jets coaching staff, Zach Wilson, or the offensive line that is so bad that Zach Wilson doesn't want to play behind it?
All of them.
All of the above.
All
Okay.
the above. Zach Wilson's situation is, I can almost understand where he's coming in, although it's very, very, very unprofessional, man. It's almost like your high school girlfriend decided to go date the starter on the team, and then she found out that he was a player and then decided, hey, babe, remember me? Like, it's that situation. Like the Jets, oh, now you need me? Oh, now you want me to come save your day? I know it's catty. It's very unprofessional for Zach to say that, but I fully understand where he's coming from. It's clear they don't want him in that New York market, and it seems to be he's already made his decision to kind of dip out and leave too. So they need to just depart. I understand trying to salvage it, but it's bad on all parts, man. It's very neglectful by them and him.
I think Zach Wilson is done there when it comes down to it moving forward. He already had a shot last year when he kind of disappointed teammates and some of the stuff he said. He was given a second chance, clearly had the opportunity to step up when Aaron Rodgers was down, wasn't able to do that, probably has not a lot of confidence, and just probably doesn't want to be in that market. And he showed he's got a little immaturity in him. Doesn't seem to have grown out of that yet.
615-737-1045 as we broadcast live from Toy Field presented by A.O. Smith here at Nissan Stadium. Our 8 a.m. hour is presented by Embright Credit Union, which continues next with VolQuest's Austin Price. Two big offensive linemen who might give Tennessee a very good week. One of them's coming back from their own roster. Another one could join the roster next season later this week. Details on that with Austin Price of VolQuest next.
It's Ramon and Kayla for Window Nation, and winter is here. The air is getting colder. Your energy bills will be at an all-time high. So now is the time to replace those windows with 0% for 5 years and 50% of all style windows, too. Now is the time to protect your family from the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home.
Now, we're outside, so obviously it's a little bit colder this morning, but those temperatures are going down here in Middle Tennessee. That will only continue to be the trend here. Hit the winter months, and that means if you are maybe feeling that draftiness coming in from your windows, that means you probably need new windows from Window Nation, and this is the time to get it before it gets really cold. Did you know that Window Nation, well, they are one of the top window nations in the country, installing over 200,000 windows, 40 times more than the average window company. Believe us or believe their 10,000 online positive reviews. Actually, every average installer, y'all, has over 16 years of experience, over 20,000 windows installed by. So you know you're doing it and doing it well by the hiring Window Nations and their installers there. So do yourself a favor this holiday season. Give your home a gift from Window Nations. It's 866-90-NATION, or simply go online to windownation.com.
It's Austin on a Tuesday morning edition of RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast, because Austin 316 said so. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling, broadcasting live from our 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive at Nissan Stadium. There is a lot to discuss with our very good friend, Austin Price of VolQuest and On3. Austin, what's going on? How are you?
Did Ramon just say what?
No, that was the sound we played on the soundboard.
What? It was. Got it.
Yeah, we're ready for you. Ready and prepared for Austin Price. Austin, a ton to get into in the Vols world and the college football world. And first and foremost, did you wake up feeling the cheesiest, getting ready for Tennessee and Iowa in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl coming up on New Year's Day?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. Anytime you're going to Florida for a bowl game, it's a good feeling. Just because you get some warm weather. I mean, no offense to Memphis, Nashville, Charlotte, even the Peach Bowl. I mean, like you go to, like the game's fine. The lead up to the game where you're there for days and it's drizzly and overcast or cold, like it's not as exciting, right? And so, first time since 2001 season, 2002 game that Tennessee will be in Orlando for the Citrus Bowl, and I kind of before the season I predicted 9-3 and a trip to Orlando. I missed it by a game, but to still end up in Orlando in what I call a bridge year for Tennessee is fairly solid against an opponent that Tennessee will have a good chance to beat.
In Austin, the hope for Tennessee, certainly going back to the Citrus Bowl, is that there will not be a downpour of rain this time in Orlando like when Tennessee played Ohio State.
Well, I mean, the good news is Roger Frazier's still around, so he could probably dig up those cleats that had the 40-inch long spikes that Ohio State loves to say Tennessee used, and take advantage of that again. But sure, yes, it's a good trip to Florida, a good good bowl destination for Tennessee fans. I'm sure they'll get some trips into Disney and Universal and SeaWorld, and I may get a little golf in while I'm down there.
There you go. There you go. Austin Price of VolQuest with us. Austin, it's interesting this time of year, too, just how quickly the calendar and the conversation shifts to who is back, who is not, and how well you can retain your own roster. Tennessee gets outstanding news last night with left tackle John Campbell, maybe a surprise to some, putting out a great video on social media saying he's coming back. How big of a boost and how big of a maybe surprise was this for Josh Heupel in Tennessee?
I think it's not a surprise. I think it's a nice boost for sure. And that means, if he's coming back, he's more than likely playing the bowl game, which, again, helps Tennessee, right? I mean, the more of these players, like Omar Norman Lott, is trending back to Tennessee. Big Omari Thomas is trending back to Tennessee. And, the more you can get a few of these guys back, the more you feel like you have a deeper, team in the bowl game. And let's face it, with bowl games nowadays, kids opt out, kids go to the portal. All of a sudden, you go to the bowl destination and you're at, drastically under the 85. And so, to get a few of these guys, trending back in the right direction, I think is a great thing for Tennessee this bowl season. But I still think bowl practice is all about some of these, freshmen that are wrapping up their freshman year that, need to kind of be pushed, because I think they need to start playing more, integral roles heading forward.
Austin, man, according to, let me say this first and foremost. The intro is Austin 316 glass breaking, and essentially yesterday, the transfer portal opening up over 1,100 players in the portal, man. How big has this event somewhat gotten with the NCAA that nobody's really talking about how big it is?
Well, I mean, it's just kind of the it's modern day football, Ramon. I mean, like, going in that there's going to be some guys that are surprises going to the portal, some that aren't, and ultimately there's going to be a bunch of kids that make bad decisions. Now, your top end guys are automatically going to have landing spots. You don't worry about them, but it's some of the kids that hear from their uncle or their best friend or their 7-on-7 coach or their high school coach and says, "Man, you need to get out of there. You didn't play as a freshman." I mean, like, that's not real wise in my opinion. I think unless you just are having a really, really, unless you're in a really bad situation, like, jumping out there as a freshman is just not smart in my opinion, because kids don't take it serious when they go through it the second time. They make another bad decision, all of a sudden then you're stuck. So like I think it's an event because everybody wants to go to the portal like it's some like mythical place, right? The problem is it's also kind of like the Bermuda Triangle for some. Once you get in, you can't get out, and I think it's good in certain ways, but also I think it does hamper the game a little bit as well.
Austin, I don't know if we've actually had this question answered on air, and I kind of want to ask you that because you mentioned it. Because here's the thing: over 1,100 as of yesterday, as of 10 o'clock last night, according to On3, right? And you said some people get in and can't get out. Austin, what is the reality that you can spread right now through Middle Tennessee and throughout everybody that's listening to us of what happens if your child goes into the portal and can't find a destination, an equal D1 school or something nice? What happens to them? Because I honestly couldn't tell you, like, yeah, they just go back home. Like, what's the end result of people that don't have a home?
Well, if you don't have a home, then you're done playing football. I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, you're either at your current school or you're in your new school. If you're just stuck in portal land, you're nowhere. And that's a bad feeling. And the problem is college coaches want players that have played, So, like, it's why I say, like, these young kids that get sucked into, listening to people that jump in the portal, I think that's where you end up with some of these kids that end up at a far inferior place than where they were, or they end up nowhere. And I think that's a rough spot because, I know of a few kids that were high-end, high 4-star, low 5-star type players that, I think they would probably be in the portal, but, they're fearful of, getting in there and, not being, at the same level they're currently at. And I think that's that's a real worry for some. So, and I don't even mean at Tennessee. I mean just across college football when I say I know of some. Like, I'm not talking about Tennessee really at all, actually. But, I know of a few that are other places that, they're just afraid to get in because they don't know what the future holds if they do.
Austin Price joining us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Austin, so with this, transfer portal, you've seen yesterday with it officially opening up, some of these schools are bleeding players. Like, I'll point right over here to West End. I mean, my goodness, Vanderbilt has lost some big-time players. When you look at Tennessee, I mean, Warren Burrell, Brandon Turnage, just a couple of the names. Were you surprised by any of the guys that kind of hit the portal? And it doesn't seem like they're losing a lot here. Why is that?
Well, I think Tennessee has a pretty healthy culture. I think the kids genuinely enjoy being here. Now, there are some that are going to go because they're like, Warren Burrell and Brandon Turnage. They don't want to waste their final year of eligibility not playing or playing very little. They know that some of these young guys are getting pushed past them. And so, like, I don't blame those guys at all. I think it's smart. I think it's good. I think it's good for all parties. It allows those kind of kids to go play somewhere, and in their career, on the field. It allows Tennessee to kind of open up some spots and go and try to upgrade their roster. And so I think that some of these decisions have been beneficial. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kids all across college football, and there's programs that are hemorrhaging. NC State's another one. And you hear Dave Dorn talking about, we got to have money for NIL. You got to have money for NIL. Well, Tennessee's got, I think, if not the longest, one of the top 2 or 3 longest running collectives, because some of the other schools have had to kind of reinvent themselves from an NIL standpoint. Well, Tennessee's not had to do that with the Spire and the Volunteer Club, and I think that's helped. I mean, there's a reputation out there for Tennessee and NIL that's good, and I think that that stuff matters for kids in the portal. It matters for high school kids. It matters for your current team when you're trying to hold on to players. So I think this is something where Tennessee's culture's really good. The reputation of Tennessee's NIL is strong, and I think all that helps Tennessee not see a huge loss as far as guys that matter. I think Addison Nichols is one that they had some hope for, but he wants to get on the field. He wasn't getting on the field now, and so he just made the decision to go take a look and just try to put himself in a better position.
When you look at the transfer portal right now and what is in it, what does Tennessee need? Clearly, the tight end position is something they're looking at. I believe made an offer to Justin Jolly. Just what do you know the latest on that, Austin?
Well, they've got multiple tight ends coming in this weekend, including Justin. They have the States kid coming in from Notre Dame. They're taking a look at the kids from UCLA. The tight end spot's very important. I think interior offensive line is a place Tennessee will look in the portal. Potentially defensive line. Again, it depends on who all comes back. I think that's where Tennessee's kind of at as a football program, is who comes back and who doesn't. Offensive line wise, who comes back? Defensive line, who comes back? Safety, who comes back? I think again, it's a fine line. I don't think Tennessee wants to just bring in warm bodies either, though. I think if you're bringing in somebody, you want to bring in somebody that you think can play, will play. And so be interested to kind of see how the rest of these spots fill out. But Tennessee would sure like to add help at that tight end spot, Kayla. That's a spot where right now it's Ethan Davis and Ethan Davis after the bowl game.
Austin Price of AllQuest at On3 with us this morning on RKW. Austin, the biggest target left on Tennessee's high school recruiting board, set to make his announcement this week, and it appears to be a Tennessee-Ohio State battle amongst some other blue blood programs for five-star tackle Jordan Seaton. What's the latest on his recruitment?
Yeah, it sure feels like Tennessee-Ohio State, heading into this Thursday decision. Going to commit Thursday. We'll be interested to kind of see how this thing plays out over the next, 48 hours or so. But Tennessee has had a strong pitch. They've done a nice job here. Ohio State with the last visit, and we'll kind of see how it plays out. But, it would be a huge, huge fish. I think it would be this class's version of Nico. Different position, different personality, but as far as impact, if you can get a high-end offensive tackle, to help protect Nico, I think it goes a long way.
Austin, at the wide receivers position, it's so interesting. So many players on teams that were not bowl eligible in the SEC are in the portal at that spot. You look across the street, London Humphreys, a Nashville kid from Vanderbilt out there, Juice Wells at South Carolina, a lot of in-conference talent at that position. How big of a priority is wide receiver for Tennessee? And at the same time, how much of that will be dictated by Brew McCoy's decision to come back or to not?
Well, I think it's important. Tennessee's got to get deeper. Like they're not as thin as they are tight end, but they're still very, very thin at the receiver spot. So they've got to get a deeper room. They got to get more bodies in that room. And so I think bringing in Juice Wells this weekend, looking at a few of these other receivers, I think is smart because until Brew kind of makes his decision, and right now I'd probably lean to him not coming back, but again, we'll see what happens. Tennessee needs more bodies in the room, and that's the biggest thing you can say about the wide receiver spot.
Speaking of needs, man, there was one university a few years back with a coach by the name of Jimbo Fisher, man, that supposedly had one of the best classes in all of college football ever. And a lot of those players are talking, Austin. I know you know a little bit more than most, man, when it comes down to those real collectives versus players, being promised something and not getting it. How did you see this unfolding when we're talking about collectives and recruiting and players as it pertains to Texas A&M?
I'm not surprised. I think you're going to see that kind of all over college football from time to time, especially when, kids – kind of go through the process, and it doesn't work out. So, I think you'll probably hear more of that going forward as the process kind of, happens at each school. But this is a thing where, when you have change at a school like Texas A&M, Ramon, you're going to naturally, start to hear stories and that type of stuff out there. And so, it's not surprising.
For once, I'm just glad it's not the Vols, man. I've watched Texas A&M start so many
Some hurt in your
fires
voice.
on X, Austin, and it makes me proud that Vol Twitter is just really just being cool this offseason, man. Austin, we've made a lot of headway, man. This is growth. This is growth, Austin.
Listen, it is a change, and we just hope it stays this way because it's not nearly the thrill a minute that it's been in the past.
No doubt.
Austin Price of AllQuest.com with us every Tuesday morning here at 8:20 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Austin, great stuff as always, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate you all.
Thanks, Austin.
Yes, sir. There's Austin Price at Austin Priceless on Twitter, on X, on whatever you call it, where you can find him. We mentioned it for the first time with Andy Staples earlier this offseason at SEC Media Days when he told us, I will be more interested in Tennessee becoming a legitimate SEC team when they start landing five-star linemen and not five-star wide receivers. And Thursday could be the day where Tennessee lands its big five-star lineman under Josh Heupel. That to me is I totally agree with Austin. That is as big of a deal as getting Nico. Yep. If they are able to land Jordan Seaton over Ohio State.
And of course, if I can play dirty for a little bit too, y'all, in the world of college sports, because it's just different anyway these days, I'd also, use a recruiting pitch. Is Ron Day going to be there? I mean, what are you trying to do? We're actually building something, and in the SEC. What you got going on? And this is me as a Vols fan. I can be completely honest with y'all. This is me saying those types of things to them, but that's why I'm not a recruiting coach. But if I did talk to Jordan Seaton, those are some of the conversations I would have. Offense fitting. Coaching stability, NIL for a guy like him. He gonna be able to demand what he wants. Watching them also have a quarterback going to the portal. Now, here's the pro thing about Ohio State: they gonna always have somebody behind you that can play that role. They're gonna have weapons like crazy. But to be able to come in, if you have a situation as a day one starter with the guy that's a year ahead of you as far as Nico's concerned, look, he can go one the first year, you can go one the next year. And we're already planning for other guys behind you. I am hopeful, though, when it comes down to this level playing field in the college football world. It is what it is, though. We'll see what happens on Thursday.
Coming up next, there is a transfer portal story we will tell you about that I promise you will not hear again throughout this entire offseason. A player making one of the stranger sport switches of any player that has ever entered the transfer portal. Details on that next. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone as we continue hour number 3 presented by our friends at Embright Credit Union. They brought a big box, a big van of toys, and you can too right here with us at Nissan Stadium, presented by A.O. Smith. It is the 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive. We're asking for unwrapped toys or gifts for a senior at Gate 1 at Nissan Stadium next to the Pro Shop, east side of the stadium. If you're looking at water, you're on the wrong side.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the opposite side. Don't forget that.
Come by and see us. Guys, there are transfer portal entries, and then there are transfer portal entries to a different sport, which is what Alabama quarterback Tyler Buckner is going to do. He has entered the transfer portal as a lacrosse player.
That's wild.
That.
As a lacrosse player. Entered the portal last year, went to Alabama from Notre Dame, played in 3 games this year. From La Jolla, California, which if you have not been there, that is one of the most beautiful places in the country, right outside of San Diego. From the Bishop School in La Jolla, was considered one of the top lacrosse recruits in the country while he was in high school, has not ruled out a return to football, but a source close to Tyler Buckner told ESPN's Pete Thamel that he is expected to explore his lacrosse options this spring.
Good to have options, man. Goodness.
If you could have done another sport in the portal, what would it have been, Ramon?
If I could have done another sport in the portal, volleyball.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
You go to Southern Cali for that, too.
You know what I'm saying? Send me to Florida either way if I want to stay on the East Coast.
Well, you'd be
Yeah.
either a middle blocker or are you an outside hitter?
A middle blocker
Or a
for sure.
defensive specialist,
Middle blocker.
a setter.
Using my arms.
Where's Don Davenport?
Babs.
Setter, right?
Babs ain't no V-baller like that. What are we asking for her for?
Hey, she's got those SEC
She was a
accolades,
she was
baby.
a libero at Auburn.
Libero, yeah, there it is.
I'm messing Babs. Don't come for me, man. She been
And our
a
text is going to come in 3, 2, 1.
You should get Daniel Brunskill to teach you some stuff if you want to go to the volleyball
That
side of
is
things. That
what
was
he
his high school
did.
thing, too.
Nico Iamaleava did that
Yeah.
too.
That's what I was saying.
Nico's got the size for that, yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Tall.
Which,
Jeff-
speaking, Ramon looks at me. We're doing our stand-up for the open of our broadcast the other
goodness.
day between Procon and Upperman. Ramon looks at me and just goes, "Huh, you are kind of tall." Like, yeah,
Give
of
me
course.
some credit
what do
here.
you? Yes, I am.
Yeah, right?
We
He's
collectively,
like, wait a
That's why
second, Will.
volleyball is probably my best sport.
we
Right?
might have the tallest show. I think
Yeah.
we do at this point. Kayla's no short person
No.
at all. No short
3HL
shaming.
may have us a little bit.
No,
And Bert's holding up too, man. I think Bert's the tallest producer in the building.
yeah.
Tallest producer in the world.
That's close. The
In the
tallest
world, Craig.
producer in the world, Craig.
Come on, baby.
Right?
Come on now. Do the right thing now, Bert.
Some respect.
Even if it ain't true, you gotta say it is, Bert.
Joe
Well,
Monk's small.
I'm getting some. I'm
Well, he's
getting some
shorter.
Crocs with
Well,
lifts
I'm not trying
in.
to be mean. What, am I digging myself in a hole?
No, you didn't.
Well,
at
Joe's
all.
hair does make him taller.
It makes him a little taller, but I think Bert has some inches on him
Closer
in
to
terms
heaven.
of his height.
Yeah, Bert got him for sure. And if it's a fight, I'm definitely taking Bert. We just got violent.
Or if it's a,
You always get so violent.
or if it's a game of
I'm gonna
Madden, I'm definitely
waterboard
taking
you.
Bird.
Always get violent.
If it's a game on Xbox, then
when
take
it comes to competition, y'all know my motto. If it's a game between me and you, I'm gonna step on your neck. Like that's just.
With Crocs.
Hey,
We got Crocs,
If Bert gets some
Sport
with some
mode.
lifts in it, sport mode,
put your Crocs in sport mode.
we
Let's
winning
go.
that
Go.
all day long, man.
Let's go back to the phones. Kenny in Nashville up next, 615-737-1045. What's up, Kenny?
What's going on, guys? Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Got you.
Cool. Thanks for taking my call. I know y'all don't talk a lot of vanity, so I appreciate y'all letting me in for a little bit. But, man, this transfer portal's killing us, man. We'd have lost another one. It's already kind of hurting us with just how we are as Vandy. Is there a fan transfer portal? Because I'm getting
I think so.
for real, man. I hate it here. You know, just
Kenny, what is your top 3 schools then? We've got a lot of recruiting writers that come on our show. We can have one of those fancy graphics made for you and put as many logos on like a cool graphic of you sitting looking cool somewhere if you need us to.
right, man. I might need to get a couple of hats. UT, Georgia, Alabama. I don't know. You know, I'm kidding though, but I'm just frustrated. You know, I heard y'all talk last week about what's causing Vandy to struggle with the NIL and the transfer. What is the chances they will actually turn it around and actually put some effort into making football good? I mean, is that even a possibility? So the new stadium is nice and everything, a new look to a stadium, but if you ain't got nothing in it, I mean, what's the point?
Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah,
We
that's
appreciate the call.
frustration.
I think it's a complex question. I think a lot of that clock will start when the stadium is done, to be honest with you. Clark Lee still deserves the opportunity to recruit to that new building and to that new facility. I genuinely believe that from the Vanderbilt perspective. I think he does deserve time because if you look at who that administration is most likely to invest in, it is one of their own. An administration that watched James Franklin leave you high and dry and just up and go for the first big job that came available to him, you're less likely to invest major dollars and major resources into a guy that's just going to up and leave at the first opportunity, in my opinion, than you are someone who is one of your own, literally, in Clark Lee.
I think the biggest thing, though, is you can't get too far behind. And that seemed to be trending in a better direction last year with Clark Lee. And then this year, it went backwards and in a bad way because now, like Kenny mentioned, you're not just losing guys to the portal. You're losing key players. And and fans just like that with Kenny. And that's hard to replace. It's like you're having to work so much harder to get back on track. And so I think he does deserve time in terms of Clark Lee, but he also can't. Vandy as a whole cannot wait too long to make moves because if it keeps digressing, they're going to dig themselves in a huge hole, huger than the one that they have there on the field in terms of all the remodeling.
I made a declaration yesterday. I was talking to somebody at the basketball gym. I am done trying to make sense of Vandy football program. Now, we talk about basketball or baseball. As far as football concerned, I'm all out of answers. I've jumped on the soapbox too many times, and I refuse to do it again. I'm done until I see something else.
I want to say bigger than. Sorry, that was awful grammar there. Huger than. That was bad.
That's all good. Hey, words and people and mics and live
that big
radio.
J journalism,
Yeah,
Ramon.
you do. I'm going to start talking about you.
615-737-1045 as we broadcast live from Toy Field, our third hour presented by Embright Credit Union. And coming up, we take a look at the injury notes from Mike Vrabel yesterday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, who may or may not be available for the Titans as they head to Miami, or I should say Fort Lauderdale, for Monday Night Football this upcoming week. And then some news from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports about a groundbreaking proposal from NCAA President Charlie Baker and a proposal that involves revenue sharing. Groundbreaking stuff at the NCAA. Details on that next.
It's Ramon Falls for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, y'all. I just want to tell you, yesterday, their plumbing division came by my house, man. They ended up checking out something inside my tankless water heater, and guess what? The hot water is fire hot, exactly as they said it would be, man. It was quick, fast, had the part ready to go, and really efficient. Absolutely loved it. And I booked it actually online at happyhealer.com. If you need anything done to your house, whether it be plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, reach out to the folks I know. You don't want cold bath water this time of year, that HVAC unit going out. They are the company for all things surrounding your house. You need a handyman? Guess what? happyhealer.com. You need something done as far as your HVAC? happyhealer.com. If you need a ceiling fan put up in your house, happyhealer.com. I promise you, if they make it easy, they'll give you an appointment ASAP. If you need anything done around the house, the same as I did, simply visit happyhealer.com.
Good morning. Just about 9 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. We had a good Monday Night Football game last night. No Burrow, no problem, as Jake Browning led the Bengals to a win in overtime over the Jags 34-31 rather. Browning finished the game with 354 passing yards, 1 touchdown through the air, another one on the ground. Trevor Lawrence was injured late in the fourth quarter and did not return, but we got a report earlier this morning from Tom Pelissero saying that it is not believed to be as bad as originally thought. So the MRI will tell all that he's going to get later today. Titans made their first in-season coaching change under Mike Vrabel, relieving special teams coordinator Craig Ackerman from his position. Tom Quinn will now take over as special teams coordinator. And a good piece of news for Titans fans, as Mike Vrabel also updated Derrick Henry's health after leaving the game early Sunday. Henry is not in concussion protocol and should be good for Monday in Miami. Now back down to Nissan for our 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive, sponsored by A.O. Smith and Cool Ray. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Live from Nissan Stadium for a fourth and final hour, we welcome you into a hot and fresh new hour of RKW, brewed by our friends at 8th and Roast, with locations on 8th Avenue, Charlotte at the airport, and their brand new location at the Broadview over by Vanderbilt's campus. 8th and Roast Coffee cultivates community by the cup. You can find your favorite retail bag in every local Kroger and Whole Foods as well. 615-737-1045 is our number, live from the 16th annual Toy Field Toy Drive, presented by A.O. Smith. While you're out doing your holiday shopping, pick up an extra toy or a gift for a senior and bring it here to Toy Field. We have had an outstanding breakfast from Pig and Pie. Hattie B's will have lunch later today, and O'Charlie's. Some great food on the way as well, coming up tonight for dinner. And a big thanks to all of our sponsors, A.O. Smith, Cool Ray, Pig and Pie, Hattie B's, O'Charlie's, and Enbright Credit Union as well. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Robert Walsh back on our 104.5 The Zone Studios. Warm and toasty behind the controls. Kirby Allen Kirby keeping us on the air here, our entire 104.5 The Zone and Cumulus Nashville crew. Great to have you with us.
No doubt. You forged some hot chocolate, if I'm not
Look at
mistaken.
that.
I did, and this is courtesy of our friends at Cool Ray over there, who have a tent. So the hot chocolate comes from Cool Ray, and they have got all the fixins that you need as well. I've never used fixins for hot chocolate before, but they have got
I like that.
little marshmallows. Mine have already melted. They've got candy canes that you can
What?
dip in there. They've got caramel sauce, Ghirardelli chocolate sauce.
Okay.
And then they also have whipped cream
They
that you
serious over
can
there.
put on there. This is very hot chocolate.
I was going to say, it is steaming at,
It is extremely warm.
a very aggressive
Put it
rate
next to the
right
mic.
now. I love that.
Can you hear
Can
the
you hear
steam?
the steam?
You
Yeah.
can't hear the steam.
You cannot.
Or however
You
do
saying
that.
fixins remind me of that scene off of Eastbound and Down. He was
Yeah.
like, the fixins.
Bring that show back.
I
Bring
need
it
another
back.
season, Danny McBride. Give
Right?
me one more season, Danny McBride.
I did want to say, guys, congratulations to the Jeffrey Simmons, is the Tennessee Titans Peyton Man of the Year nominee. And look, we've got the music in the background. That was awesome. Like, that just broke here about 15 minutes ago. Congrats to him. That's huge.
There you go.
Yeah, it was. That's a huge feat because you got to submit yourself to the community. You got to be a servant, man, and you got to be consistent with it. It's not one of those, hey, let me just show up and do one or two things. And that's one thing I've always admired about guys that have the will to do that and to continue that moving on. So, yeah, shout out to Jeffrey Simmons for the big-time service award for him, man. I absolutely love that.
Injury news yesterday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Ryan Stonehouse suffered a knee injury, is scheduled to undergo surgery, ending his season. Mike Vrabel saying that yesterday, saying he's going to have surgery, get it fixed, and come back stronger than ever and ready to go. Jeffrey Simmons left Sunday's game with a knee injury and is expected to miss a couple weeks. He will be unavailable Monday against the Miami Dolphins. Re-entered the game after sustaining the injury, but it was ultimately decided that he needed to be shut down. Mike Vrabel said yesterday he really did everything that he could and even made a play, but he wasn't going to be able to do anything. And if you can't protect yourself out there, nobody wants to put a player in harm's risk. So that's the right decision on Jeff. Meanwhile, Derrick Henry, who was reportedly in concussion protocol on Sunday, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, among others, Mike Vrabel saying yesterday he is not in the protocol as of now. That was as of middle of the day yesterday, adding that they will monitor how he's feeling and any symptoms that may come up, just like any other player.
And just more insight on that, a player can feel fine, and a couple of days later, symptoms can onset.
That's correct.
That is also part of it. So great on Vrabel and for diagnosing it as it is. If you find this, Derek later in the week having symptoms like that pops up, and that's why now the procedure to get players back on the field is not just the impact test that they that they go in and check their baseline levels at anymore. It's activity, it is movement, it is eyes. There's a lot that kind of goes into it.
Yeah, I think I wasn't really surprised by the Stonehouse news, by the Jeffrey Simmons news. 2 weeks, I think he said 3 weeks. We'll have to see what happens. Do they really feel it's necessary he even plays this season? According to, what the record is at that point, do you just save what is, you would argue, one of your best players and leaders for the future of this franchise too? But, yeah, the Derrick Henry news, I was kind of like, oh, okay. I thought he would at least be out. Maybe he'd come back Monday. But we've seen usually with Mike Vrabel teams that the concussion keeps players out at least a full week, missing at least one game. But Derrick Henry, again, a different type of dude. And unless it pops up that he's having symptoms, I'm excited at least they have him on Monday night to play.
615-737-1045. Let's go next to John in Columbia, who's been hanging on to ask us a question. What's up, John?
All right, I got a solution for the Titans O-line problem.
Okay.
I know a guy played on Rocket Top, went on to the NFL, played for the Black and Gold, and currently lives in the Nashville area.
There he is.
Ramon is in a stance right
stances.
now, practicing pass blocking sets.
He's got
There he
more
is.
heart than our whole O-line put together. Ramon, please come back and save my Titans, man. I know you got 5 more games in you. You can be a player/O-line coach. Just name it right. We'll start a GoFundMe right now. What's it going to take, man?
Well, here's the question, John, that I will follow on. And thank you for the call and for asking the question, Ramon, should you choose to accept. I wonder if the Titans would be willing to go to some kind of hand signal for Will Levis, take the green dot out of his helmet, put it in your helmet. That way you can still be the sideline reporter for Titans Radio.
Perfect.
Maybe they can get some kind of a two-way, you can get a microphone in the helmet in addition to the headset, and instead of the play calls, you'll just hear Titans Radio. You can be a sideline reporter and player.
I've multitasked like that before. I've actually had situations where I, point out the linebacker, get the snap count. So it's not like I can't multitask. Well, I've done it at the high school level also. I played, I kicked off, went and changed my shoe and played defense behind that also. It's not like I can't do it. If you're watching Zone TV, your boy was back here hitting a mean, cold-blooded, in the words of Ron Slay, pass set. You see my power step right there, Will? Right foot forward right there. Trip the hips right there. Pow! Are you saying pow? Pow! That's where I'm at today, man. Rate my kick slide right there. I was behind Will and Kayla right there. I know y'all felt that brisk breeze right there. You know what I'm saying? I do recognize this. I'm going to have to get my VMOs together. You feel me? I got to get my quads together. I'm going to go back in that stance.
On a scale of Andre Dillard to 10, you're at least like a 4.
Here we go.
Here he
goes
again. Here he goes again.
Yeah, standing up right now.
You grade it. If you're watching on the F&M Bake chat or on YouTube,
what they look
greatest
like.
stand.
You see me not leaning. I'm inside out. I'm waiting on them right there.
You're going to have to put on all that weight that you lost, too.
Man, I'll still make it happen, heck. You feel me what I'm saying? Like, Will, it's willpower at some point in time. Like,
I know all about that.
I'm an athlete with an F, you feel me, which means I'm multifaceted. That means I can do multiple things, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm with you. I got a game in me.
And look,
easy.
The age right now with some of these linemen
Come
that
on
they
now.
have, I mean, you're under. You're
I'm
under.
I am. I am.
Okay.
Are you younger than Jason Peters?
I'm very young. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I'm 37.
he goes, "I'm very
man.
young."
He's 42.
Oh, no, I don't know. Is he? He's
He
40.
not
I thought he was.
40.
No, he's 40. I think.
No, he's 41, about to be 42 in January.
And you are in your 30s still.
That's
Look
what I'm
at
talking
that.
about, man. How y'all rate that kick slide right there?
Well, Todd in the F&N Bank chat says
Mark,
that's
you
a
got-
78.9 on Pro Football Focus.
Hey, that's
good.
that's for PFF. That's
yeah.
damn good. I'm gonna be real with y'all.
That's good.
That's no problem.
One more display. Can I get an extra boost in points if I do it one more time?
One more
Let me move
time.
your
One more
backpack.
time.
You do
Let me move
that,
your
and then
backpack.
I'll
Give it to us
tell
one
you
more
about
time.
this revenue sharing deal in the NCAA. Ramon is working on the
This is
pass block.
great. Wait, can I get it?
I gotta
That's
see
my
you.
post.
I gotta see you
Bill.
break out of a stance. Block for a run.
That's me posting right there. I ain't got to do much. I'm watching my left tackle. Bam! Killed them right there. I wish you would come in a big gap.
Are the
I used-
Titans watching?
I hope so.
Nah, I'm going to just dap Vrabel up on the plane. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm cool, right? I'm cool.
615-737-1045. Ron Slay coming up in 10 minutes will join us as well. Talk some Vols and some Titans. Ross Dellinger with a fascinating story on yahoosports.com. NCAA President Charlie Baker, this is as of about 10 minutes ago, is planning to introduce this week a proposal to create a new subdivision within Division I that grants certain schools more autonomy around policymaking and, here's the kicker, permits them to compensate athletes in a new way. In a letter sent to Division I members and obtained by Yahoo Sports, Charlie Baker outlines a groundbreaking change to Division I athletics, and according to his proposal, schools could opt in or out and are required to meet a strict minimum standard rooted in athlete investment. This is revenue sharing. This is a professional model, boys and girls. And in this, the members of the new subdivision would be permitted to strike NIL deals with their own athletes. So at this point, take away the collectives, take away the third party, take away all of that. You would now have schools doing what they're already doing, but doing it on the record as we are going to offer you this NIL deal, not we're going to set up a collective that can broker NIL deals for you. The most impactful part of this, according to Ross Tellinger's piece in this letter sent by Charlie Baker to NCAA Division I schools, is a framework in which schools can directly compensate athletes through a trust fund. Schools within the new subdivision will be required, required to distribute to athletes thousands of dollars in additional educationally related funds without limitation, and there is no cap on the amount of funds that a program can provide an athlete. This is as revolutionary of a concept, of a letter, of a proposal as we have ever seen the NCAA make as it pertains to money, to revenue, and to NIL.
This also stops infighting and makes sure everybody gets something before you leave, because that was the dark side of what NIL has been to a lot of folks. Not everybody's getting something. That is a very false reality of what NIL, oh, you get something, hey, all of this is yours. Like, those valuations is a lot like, projections. Like, this is what you could make. Like, a lot of those checks and stuff that you've heard people make is not exactly what it is. And this right here gives everybody something. I say I like it. It's a step in the right direction, Will, of understanding what exactly it is and how much money's been brought in.
So entry into the subdivision requires a school to invest at minimum $30,000 per year per athlete into what is termed an enhanced educational trust fund for at least half of a school's countable athletes. So for at least half of your student athletes, $30,000 a year. Schools would determine when athletes receive their amount, which for four-year athletes will total $120,000. And schools must continue to abide by the framework of Title IX, assuring that 50% of the investment be directed toward women athletes as well.
Let's go.
So let's do this. Woo.
We're being honest. The women in college sports had a bigger summer than the men did.
Woo.
Yeah, in some ways.
Those
they did.
NIL deals?
They did.
I'm hesitant to say this is the solution. It appears to at least be a step towards the solution, right?
Yeah. At least they're working on something.
There's no cap. I mean, schools are not going to sign up for that, I don't think.
Yeah.
Schools in the new subdivision would also gain control of decision-making around scholarship limits and countable coaches. Fascinating stuff. At the very least, Charlie Baker is sitting at the big kids table, a table that Mark Emmert was never even willing to approach as it pertained to NIL. I think Charlie Baker, at the very least, is the guy to bring about meaningful change to the NCAA. And whether or not this is it in totality remains to be seen. But I'm curious as to how administrators, ADs, and presidents will react to this and what the next step will be. We have never seen anything like this as far as proposed change from the NCAA. So, interesting.
Wow.
Very interesting stuff.
Good.
Coming up, Ron Slay. Need we say anything more?
Nope.
It's RKW, live from Nissan Stadium. Toy Field, presented by A.O. Smith on 104.5 The Zone.
What?
Huh?
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone.
Oh.
Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. We'll be joined apparently 3 minutes late today by Ron Slay.
Why, Will? Tell him why.
Oh, boy.
Because you made him mad.
Oh, boy.
Because
I told you yesterday, don't disparage our guest on Tuesday. If you're going to say bad things about Slay, do it Wednesday.
Dang it.
I was just telling it. I was just telling it how it was. Will, I was trying to tell the truth to the people. I didn't realize we had snitches in the studio.
We got his lawyer.
Bert is his counsel.
That's right.
Yeah.
is.
The
Well,
offices
first
of
off,
Bert Hawkinson.
my client was in the YouTube chat yesterday and heard your disparaging remarks. And while we're waiting on his 3-minute delay, something you should remember: if you play with Slay, you don't get to play.
You get no hay.
I mean, Bert, what? I just tried to tell the truth as I saw it.
So
And
remind
somehow-
everybody what your inflammatory comments
'cause I
about my
actually
client
forgot.
were.
Do we remember?
No, I forgot.
See, and
So
that's the
that-
problem.
Weren't you
That's
saying
part
you
of the
could beat him
problem.
up or something?
No, it wasn't a fight this time. Although we have wrestled before, it was probably something small and petty. Maybe the way like he's not officially 6'8". Maybe was that it?
That's
yesterday?
always something you talk about,
That's
but that wasn't
always-
it.
But
Look.
it's y'all. Y'all make him think that he's 6'8".
Look,
Yes.
you always want to talk about small and petty. Well, now he's going to come over there tall and sweaty, and you're going to have to deal with him because you're getting him hot and bothered. Now, I don't
If
know.
you mess with Slay, you get 3-minute delay.
There you go.
Yes, there it is.
That's crazy.
If the glove
There
does
it
not
is.
fit, you must quit.
Quit.
I thought we were
Oh,
good.
jeez.
We're supposed to be family, man. We can talk about each other.
My client also informed
It was
me.
Grandma. Grandma.
No,
it wasn't that.
He called his grandma, and Ramon didn't, and
No,
Grandma said he
it was
liked
something
Slay.
yesterday. It wasn't the grandmother thing.
I gotta ask him how he does feel being the new number one. Though.
My client informed me though that you have not paid your water tax. You're supposed to provide him some of the highest quality H2O in Nashville, and you have not done that. That means you owe him with interest. That's a bottle of water every day. You owe him one of those big-ass gallons of water that go on the water coolers now. A couple of those need to be supplied.
Spring water.
Man, you're right. I have not paid that debt yet. I must admit that I'm a slow bill payer.
Oh, look at.
I'm a slow bill payer when it comes down to
Think we
just
spy
personal
him.
payments. Okay, they will get paid off. You hear me?
Now,
Oh, he's
our
taking his
3-minute
time.
suspension is over, but Slay is going to shake every
Yeah.
hand. He's
Yep.
gonna kiss
Kiss
every
babies.
baby. He's gonna shake every hand. He's gonna
Yeah.
do
It's
everything
time.
he can to speak and lay a hand on everybody
Talking
before he
to
gets
Ecky
over
Bop
here.
over there.
He's hugging
Sammy.
everybody right now.
I
Right?
quote, he's teaching everyone a lesson.
Kirby Allen Kirby.
There it is, folks. Oh, there he is.
Standing at 6'8",
Woo!
from Nashville, Tennessee, home of the 3-time state champion football
Let's go.
Pro Cone Firebirds.
And your new number one on the
And
grandmama's
still-
list.
And Grandma's favorite.
Grandma's favorite, Ron Slay, has joined us this morning.
Let's go.
Bundled up, too.
I know.
Look at this.
I thought he was skiing or something. You come off the hill?
Y'all can play around, man. I ain't got time to play around. You know what I mean, I left my gloves in the truck, but I ain't got time to be playing around.
I got one for you.
My dog will come through.
I come through.
Dog will
That's
come
just me
through. That's all
trying to
we
butter them up
That's
right
all-
now.
Yeah.
You are.
That's why I made y'all wait. That's why I made y'all wait. The whole reason I made y'all wait, you know what I mean? Kirby came out there and says 9:20. You supposed to be at 9:23. You supposed to be on. I said, nah.
There was an additional 3 minutes that
Teach him a
transpired
lesson,
there,
KK.
too.
I see
Bert
you.
was
Yeah, you know what I mean?
your counsel was in full representation of you,
Was
too.
he?
Yeah, he was.
Well, that's good. About time.
He reminded us exactly what it was, and I've yet to pay my dog off personally
Mm-hmm.
with the water debt. I must admit, personal bets, they take me a little time to pay.
Yeah,
off.
ain't nothing wrong with it, though.
But
You good. You got good credit.
I
You know what I
know.
mean? So it's all good.
But interest is added.
Oh, you better believe it. Nah,
So
I mean,
instead of 4, it's
Interesting.
5, 6.
yeah, it just add it on up. You know what I mean, we'll worry about it once we get to the register.
We'll cross that line.
There it is.
To the register.
Yeah, you gotta get to the register, don't you? You gotta pay for it. You gonna steal them?
We do.
Hey man, hey man.
I do
Hey, let
the
me-
app check out at Sam's.
Let me just say too though. Hey Bert, hey man, you ain't gotta keep calling me, dog. If I hang up, that means I'm not answering purposely. You know what I mean? Bert called me 3 times. Decline. KK, it is a reason I'm declining, Will Lee. You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like I don't want to talk to my lawyer right now. I've had enough.
Much like Ramon hasn't paid his water tax, I have also not been paid my lawyer tax. So I was just trying to get up with how we going to figure this bill out. You told me you was going to teach me how to dunk, man.
Is this what we doing after all the nice breakfasts that I bring you?
Listen, I just want to dunk one time. You
Breakfasts.
told me if I would represent you that you would put me on your shoulders and let me do a tomahawk dunk. And it just hadn't happened yet.
That is great.
Bert, you can't let everything out the closet, brother.
Yeah, attorney-client
Thank
privilege.
you.
Man.
Like,
Come on.
Exactly.
Talking about what we talking about in the chambers, in the judge chambers. This out here with the jury and the general public, man. What we doing?
You know, that's worse than a young
You
thug
feel
case
me?
in Atlanta.
Slime.
Play Sexy Red.
No,
Don't slay with us. Relax.
Relax, he says.
When you see me, do not tell me what's up.
Look at my boy.
Take his prize afterward.
What up, Will Lee?
Slay,
What's up,
it was
KK?
fun working with
What's up,
Nomar to
Slay
watch Pro Cone's championship on Saturday morning.
Yeah, man, it's good. Anytime you can bring any championship back to the city, it is wonderful to do, man. Especially Metro Nashville Public Schools, man. I'm a product of it. You know what I'm saying? So salute to them. It's great, man. Seeing because it's more than just the team that got to come together. It's a school, it's a community. They got to come together. You know what I'm saying? So salute to them, Coach Brunetti, his whole staff, and most definitely the kids and the families, man, that went through it. Administration that helped get them through it. Man, all of that is love, man. Y'all had great support down there. A little bit of rain down there.
A lot of bit of rain.
Yeah.
A lot of rain.
Yeah, so you fight through the elements and go and get it done, man. Being there year after year and, not being able to cross that speed bump, finally getting it done. So salute to them, man. First one since 96, 97. Wow. You know what I mean?
You made sure I said both of them.
Yeah, you got to, man.
I was. You tuned in a little bit late. All right, we were on the same page.
I woke up a little bit late for that one right there. But guess what? I was there in the second half, man. And, that's so – the only reason I say that too, Will, I wanted y'all to say it as much as possible because one thing that you can't forget, and this is personal. I wanted to be this to be the you're not that guy, but this was you can't erase the foundation that you stand on. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what it is, if it's personal, whatever it is, you got to be able to take your emotions out of it and don't punish kids or put kids in the middle of whatever beef that you got going on with parents, administration, past administration, whatever it may be. What was laid before y'all was a back-to-back state championship that ain't never been done again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It brought two communities together that were warring. You know what I mean? North side and west side were beefing, real life, kids getting killed behind this. You know what I'm saying? So for these two communities to come together and then you erase, take down the back-to-back state championship things on the scoreboard and everything around the school, that's foolishness. So I had to say that. Whoever did that, whoever's behind this is not that guy. And it's personal, that's what I'm saying? So, but to those kids, hey, man, salute, dog. Y'all will remember this forever. Yep. You'll be able to have convos. I'm still in text threads with guys from 96, you know what I'm saying? And we communicate all the time. You'll never forget that. And it'll always be something that'll bring you back. So, cool.
Some legendary football players that have worn the Firebirds jersey and basketball players.
Man, without question, man. Coaches and some more.
I feel like I've heard more about what Baby Shaq than I ever heard about people in my hometown. I'm like, I know John Henderson better than people that built there. I feel like that never met him. I was like, who is Baby Shaq? Well, I know who he is.
He had a touchdown reception in that Halls game in 1996, 18-14 as well.
True legend, dog. True legend, man.
Love
Plenty of them.
Slade, Tennessee football headed to the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yes, I mean
in Orlando.
Yeah, I mean you got your bowl game. You get extra practice. You get to see Nico if he gets thrown out there. You know what I'm saying? And I think the difference in what you're walking into with Tennessee going into this bowl game than everybody else is you're not necessarily scrambling for the transfer portal. You kind of got things kind of set by having a guy like Nico already right there and having people able to follow him and not scurry and be like, oh, man, let me get in this transfer portal to see what's going on. People kind of sit. Like, you can go in the transfer portal and get some people. You lost people because of graduation and things like that. But you ain't got people trying to bolt. Not when you look at the likes of Vandy and Oklahoma and, you know what I mean, A&M and Ohio State. Like, it's weird, man. It is a crazy time you live in, dog, because I just don't understand how you don't even – they don't even wait a year. Like they don't even want to go through the conditioning, strength and conditioning program and be like, man, let me go and get a year under my belt, see if I get stronger. Okay, let me take one more, man. Let me give it a good shot. You still got 2-3 years if you want it. Like, they out of there after the first year. That's crazy.
Let me ask you
man.
this real quick, man, since support's on the portal conversation. From the era that you was raised up in and how you had to stay at Tennessee or lose a year, right?
Yep.
What should be the reasons, one or two, that kids hop in the portal?
I think one for sure is if you come into a situation, the guy that recruited you to come there, if he leaves, whether that be in football position coach, whether that be the head coach, assistant coach in basketball, you kind of align with the guys that that brought you in, and you have a different kind of relatability than whoever may be coming in.
Okay.
Plus, they want to bring their guys in, so they don't get punished for bringing their coaches in and poaching coaches, trainers, whatever it may be from their program. I think it's fine for a kid to be able to choose that way as well. I think also injuries and the situation like what you got to see with the kid from North Carolina, the wide receiver that was
that came from SC State.
Yeah, that came from that was what Carolina.
Tez Walker.
Tez Walker. Yeah. Boom. When you got a situation like that, dog, you come on, man. I mean, if you're talking about mental health, and who's to put guidelines on mental health? Who's to say what mental health, the scale that it needs to reach? Are you a 6 on it or whatever? Dog, you got mental health. You want to be close to the family? Let's roll. It's cool. One time, that's fine. After once, then you got to sit. You got to sit. I can't agree with it, man. I don't think it's right. And I think you're hurting not only the people that are involved in the situation, but you're hurting the kids, man, that 3-star, 4-star, that might have got that look, maybe been able to be a walk-on. You just don't give them that same opportunity because you're jumping in the portal and you played at a Power 5, even though you probably was a 3-star. You got lucky, got in there. Now they see you associated with Michigan, and we're gonna take a hit on him. Like, he been in a Power 5 program, know how to act. So you slighting people.
You know what's also going to have to change is like outlook as fans, because I'll tell you this much, especially when it's these quarterbacks that are entering the portal at the high rate and the things that they've done for you. Like, I'll take Cam as an example at Washington State.
Yep.
He did so much. And now he's going to go play for maybe even UW or Oregon.
Right.
And no longer in the Pac-12, because there is no real Pac-12 except for Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah.
But your fans, it's hard because, like, you want to still root for that guy because he did so much for your program, let's say. But now they're going and playing at another program. Like, I feel like fan bases now change in a way.
It is. And I think it's going to be difficult moving forward because you've been attached so long to the university that you cheer for. The legacies that went there before you that's probably going to come after you. I think that's the biggest difference with professional sports. You can detach just a little bit.
Right.
It was difficult to see here with Will Levis coming here and trying to detach him from Kentucky. But once he's in your franchise, you can cheer for a guy. You're usually cheering for the school, whoever comes in. Once they leave, it's like, I'm still cheering for my school. Hope he does well, but do it from afar. I think it's at some point we're going to have to come to realization, like I had to this year, when you see players that played with guys like Cam and he transfers, and there's still guys from Washington State posting on Instagram like, look at my dog, man, he getting busy. He over there at Oregon, you over there at Washington. Like,
know.
What you mean he getting busy? You know what I'm saying?
And
that's the old school feel in me. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not the generation that these kids grow up in. You know, and it's hard to deal with. But I do think they have a leg up on us in a sense as far as older generation looking at it like, hey, man, this is my guy, man. If this is my guy, I'm rolling with him. You know what I'm saying? We got a little bit more loyalty to the colors and to the school. It's like, nah, we ain't going for that. You know what I mean? So we got to give and take a little bit.
Slay, the revenue sharing story that comes out at 9 o'clock this morning, there's a lot we still don't know. The facts are that Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, has sent a letter to Division I schools proposing a different subdivision of FBS football and FBS sports, of a division that would be required to share revenue with their athletes at a minimum of $30,000 a year for half of the athletes, men or women, in their entire athletic department. It doesn't seem to be maybe the step, but a step in the direction that this thing is heading. And it does feel like the theme we have in talking about revenue sharing in talking about all these things is that things we thought were 10 years away are probably closer to 3 to 5. What was your initial reaction to seeing that story?
My thing was, do you just do you cap it? Do you cap it on like the population of the sports? How many kids you got in that sport, or
Right.
what is it? What's the regulator in it though?
50% of the athletes get paid, and there is no cap on how much they can get paid.
They set a floor, basically.
I mean, yeah,
floor of
I
30,000.
I ain't mad at that. I like everybody getting some. You know what I mean? And I think if I get the opportunity to bring a guy like Nico in, and he's high profile, and he can bring more to us than Ron Slay could. Hey man, like let's let everybody eat off of it,
Right.
especially like you got good. It's teaching. Distribution and you know what I mean, like. You don't got to hog the whole pie. Like everybody, Savage said all the time, everybody gets to eat, B. You know what I mean? If you own this team, everybody get to eat. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of get the ground floor set. I'm with it. I'm with it.
At least
Yeah.
they're ahead of it to where they don't have to go to court,
Right,
especially when you
right.
incorporate the female side of it too.
Yep.
That to me is the biggest win
No
for
question.
it.
It is.
You don't want what's going on in Oregon right now
Yeah.
happen across because as it stands right now, Savage, and you let me know. South Carolina girls basketball team, women's basketball team,
Right.
is probably more popular than what men's football is.
Sure.
Although men's
ain't no
football is
question.
making more money.
Ain't no question.
But the women's game, for what they've done for South Carolina, for instance, just one situation, to justify, you're a freshman, you get 30.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got reps up there in South Carolina right now that told me they walking around the dorm saying this is a basketball school now.
Oh,
you know what I'm
baby.
saying? So
They've been to a Final Four more recently than they've been to a legit bowl
You
game.
feel what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's serious. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel the same if to put it in my shoes, like in your shoes too. If we're at the University of Tennessee and Shamiko Hostclaw come through, hell yeah, I want to eat. They're gonna be more popular.
Yeah.
I ain't got no problem, and I'm gonna be front row cheering. You know what I mean? Candace Parker come through in y'all era, hell yeah, we're gonna be right there cheering. You get Al Wilson or Peyton Manning coming through, it's gonna be vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was always that should always be the base of it. Sharing is caring, and that's what it's supposed to be. That's why I think the moniker, the Everything School, I think it ought to fit everybody's school. You know what I'm saying? That's what it should be. It's not one situation that should be higher than the other. Like, we don't need the LSU Tigers football team walking around holier than thou over the gymnastics team. You know what I mean? That ain't cool. The most money is getting made on the gymnastics team
Olivia
anyway.
Dunn.
You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, you got to even this thing out.
Well, and non-revenue athletes also are used to watching some of them get 25% scholarships.
True.
Some of them getting 10%
Yep,
scholarships.
that's
Like,
yeah.
my
yep, no
teammates,
doubt.
like of my whole recruiting class, like I think 3 of us were on scholarship by the
Yeah.
end of our tenure there.
Right.
One of them was on scholarship when we started because there's only 12 and a half scholarships for a team of 40 guys.
See what I'm saying?
And the women's
Yeah.
team gets 17 scholarships. So like
That's a whole different
50% of
perspective,
the
too.
money, and that's a whole like Title IX, a little bit of a double-edged sword there sometimes too, because now you have 50% money distributed equally between men's and women's
Sure
sports.
enough.
Like it's for schools that have football, it's not 50%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the same sport is getting so much less than a sport that is doing the exact same thing, but it's on the women's side. I'm not saying, woe is us,
Right,
victim
right,
mentality,
right.
but legitimately this is a 50-50 split. In that end, I think it makes sense.
I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Slay, coming up, I want to get into Tennessee playing one of the best mid-major teams that has come to Knoxville in quite some time tonight in George Mason.
How you know I'm gonna be here?
You what?
How you know I'm gonna be here?
Oh, you got to talk to Bert.
Let me check with some of my relatives.
Okay.
Bert, am I cool with staying on Bert for a little second longer?
Are we going to be shooting in the gym after this?
Hey, boy, something wrong with you. Every time. Boy,
We'll
go
all
ahead,
find out if Rod Slay is going to be here for the next
Alley-oop it,
segment.
Will. Alley-oop it, Will.
Coming
Get us
up
up out of
next.
here, man.
Wrapping up the show, but the fun continues all day here at Toy Field, presented by A.O. Smith here at Nissan Stadium. Gate 1 of the East Concourse is where you can come by and see us. The Buck Rising Show takes over after us. I see Lucas Panzica here to my left, holding court with C.J. Ecke, who's been holding court all morning.
He has,
Always.
man.
Thank
You
you,
ain't
Bob.
lying either,
He was here
Savage.
at 5:30.
The Ecke love connection. is
Anywhere where
real.
Does.
Ecke goes, a crowd follows.
Tell
I
us
heard
the
he was
Bob.
getting some girls the other day.
That's the Bob.
No,
Yeah.
this morning.
He had 3 girls around him today.
That's the Icky Bob, man. That's what he brings.
I walked
That's
out
crazy.
It's crazy. It is. I walked out 2 times, and the court was still being held. I'm
Bob
like,
out there.
What a gavel at?
Yeah,
You
Bob's
ain't done?
something
I
else.
love
Yeah,
this.
He,
Go,
he
Ecke.
probably knocked out all 3
Court is in
numbers.
session.
Easy.
Tonight on the basketball court, Ron Slade,
Yeah.
Tennessee hosts George Mason. Solid non-conference test. Good mid-major for Tennessee to see tonight at Knoxville.
Yeah.
Dalton Connect status up in the air. Freddie DeLeon, Tobe Awaka working their way back, according to Rick Barnes yesterday. The UNC game was challenging,
Yeah.
to say the least. It sounds
Yeah.
like the first half, the halftime conversation was the worst it has ever been for a Rick Barnes team at Tennessee, and it's not even close. But the response in the second half is what I take away more than that. Maybe I'm just an optimist, but Dalton Connect doing what he did, I still think right now he is the front runner for SEC Player of the Year early.
I do too. I'm right there with you. And I think, people talk about Rick, Coach Barnes, and, retirement Rick and all these little things. Can he get it done? I think this right here shows you he still has the pulse of the team. You know what I'm saying? To come out and rebound like they did, to hear his voice at halftime, know he's upset, and for you to come out and respond the way he did, because Dalton played terrible in the first half.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I'm saying? Santi did as well. So I'm interested to see what Santi does with Dalton, with DK being out. But has some reps too tell me, man, that DK will be all right. It just looked bad, kind of scared him more so than anything. So he'll be fine. But I think you got a good spot right here to rest him in these next couple of weeks. If he had to play, I do believe he could play. It's going to be interesting also to see Zakai against this type of George Mason team who plays a low scoring, run half court set type of game. So don't be surprised if the under is way under, you know what I mean? Like I can see a 65 to 49 game, you know what I mean, in favor of UT.
Sure.
But this is the style that they play. And I think with Coach Barnes, with the talent that he has, he can relate to either style. Where you want to run, get up and down like UNC, or you want to slow it down like George Mason. I expect them to do. But I hope they come out and on fire and they run away with it. But if not, I do expect a low-scoring game, but don't be alarmed by it.
Kind of team that you might see in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
George
easily.
Mason, who could be a 13 seed, a
That's
14 seed, even as high as a 12. You mentioned Santiago Vescovi. What is his role going to be moving forward?
I think they're trying to figure it out. I think once you get the ball in your hand and really you've been the offensive set for the last 2 years, it's kind of hard to adjust when you get a guy coming in, and you got to think everybody else's game's evolving. Zakai's trying to score a little bit more. You got Jemai Meshack, who took on a heavy load last year, who can score some. You got Josiah in a different spot where he has a mismatch and is able to score more. And then DK coming in, Dalton Connect, it's a totally different mindset. And then you got Jonas trying to take a step, get him the ball to score more. So your attempts go down. You don't necessarily have to have the ball come through you to get the offense going. I think he has to get back used to that. I think early on when he was first coming in, he was fine with initiating the offense, pushing the break, making little fancy passes, kind of Ginobili-like effect that he brought to the game. That went away a little bit more with the shooting of the last 2 years. So hopefully he can get that back. And, one thing you can't do is leave him. You know what I mean? I'm always standing beside that. You can't leave him because he will knock it down. If he get hot, it's good night. You know what I'm saying? So I think he'll figure it out. He should be that shooter, that 12-point a game score that they can rely on, and I think that's the biggest thing. He got to be able to bring consistency to the game night in and night out. If you can't do that, then you're going to be hurting the team. You're a back-to-back first-team All-SEC performer.
What do you want to see from them just before they start conference play, Ron?
Yeah, I want to see rhythm. These lulls that you go through. I'm okay with not scoring the ball, but defensively, you got to be able to hang your hat. If that's going to be your consistent, which it has been your constant over the years, you got to continue to be able to roll with that. We got to be able to see that going through conference play. I want to see Zakai get back into it. I think we saw it in the second half. See the flow of him. Freddie DeLeon get back out there, and I want to see the depth. Use that depth. I want to see the big men take a step. Tobe Awaka and Jonas, they do. That was a good step by Jonas in the second half of North Carolina, being able to get the ball and score, not fading away at 6'11". I think all of that's going to play key going into conference play. You got to be able to defend. Talking about the bigs, defend, rebound, and score down low.
What about also with Toby staying out of foul trouble?
He got to, and it's going to be difficult because he's so strong. But he has to realize, dog, you're only like 6'7". Like you're going against 6'10". Like you can't play the same way. Yeah, it's strong, and then practice that'll fly. You push him, do all. That's not flying. You get with officials that they're gonna call that. So he got to learn. You know what I'm saying? And it's new to him. Yeah,
a sophomore.
Yeah, and you playing more minutes now. So those 10 minutes where you can go out there and use all 5 fouls, that was cool then. Now we need you to play 24, 25 minutes a game and just play out 3 times, brother. We need you out there. So.
That is the show from Nissan Stadium. Toy Field presented by A.O. Smith continues with the Buck Rising Show coming up next. The field of toys is growing. Come by and see us. Unwrap toys or gifts for a senior, robes, slippers, things to keep us warm would be great. Ron Slay, thank you.
Thanks,
Austin
Ron.
Price, thank you.
Thanks,
Ramon
Ron.
Foster, send us home.
Hey, y'all must remember at all times, man, my kick step is still damn good. But at the same time,
Get him, Savage.
your Twitter fingers and mic is always hot.
Life is busy. We could all use some extra time in our day, which is exactly why Two Rivers Ford offers mobile service. We'll bring the service to your driveway at no additional charge. Oil changes, brakes, batteries, the certified technicians at Two Rivers will perform basic maintenance on your vehicle wherever you are, so you'll have more time for moments like this. Schedule your mobile service appointment by scanning the QR